Chapter 101. Su Chen looked at the bull warrior in front of him who didn't understand the language. Full of muscles, wearing a mask, a proper cow warrior style, and he still wears a mask. Bull warriors never take off their masks. It's definitely impossible to live without a mask in London today. Those who haven't been smoked to death are considered to have tenacious human vitality. #%. I don't understand. It seems I'd better find someone who can speak human language. Su Chen then turned his attention to the dark elves who were controlling the particles of reality. Necromancer. Does the earth have its own necromancer? The leader looked at Su Chen hiding in the mirror world and asked in confusion. Su Chen did not respond. However, Su Chen's actions had to attract his attention. At this time, Su Chen was absorbing the scattered particles of reality through the mirror space. Creating dark matter in mirror space has no effect on reality. Moreover, Su Chen's absorption capacity is not small. It is impossible to control the reality gem without someone, even if it is extremely compatible with the dark elf. Reality gem will also drain his life force, especially such a big project as transforming the universe. Su Chen's mirror space directly plundered most of the reality grains. I have to say that this trick was really beautiful. And although the leader brought a lot of Proxima Midnight Elves to the earth, the only two people who can really be seen are himself and the BLCKMN. Su Chen didn't rush to deal with the BLCMN who didn't understand the language. From time to time, Su Chen's arms constantly appear behind these soldiers through the changes in the mirror space. Don't even think about parts above the neck, they won't appear in London anyway. The dagger in Su Chen's hand slashed the life of the ruthless Reaper Dark Elf. It has to be said that a magician with a mirror space can be a silent killer. Not to mention other invisible abilities, it is very good. For example, if you know someone's approximate location, then steal an A4 bomb and throw it at his feet, he won't be able to run away even if he wants to. The leader watched as each of his soldiers died tragically in Su Chen's hands. The leader is so angry. You must know that there are only so many people in the Dark Elves. Are there any elf girls left? In the future, if the Dark Elves want to develop, they will have to rely on the few people under them to spread the branches and leaves. As a result, Su Chen was about to slaughter them all without saying a word. How could he not be angry? Human necromancer, come out, you can't stop me. This dark elf is really afraid of being robbed. Su Chen's skills are almost as good as stealing. He appeared behind you silently, and you didn't even know why when his neck was wiped. It has a reality gem, and the reality gem is very strong, but it is indeed a mortal body. Although he has the power to change the world, he is still afraid of being attacked by others. The dark elf stopped releasing the reality particles and looked around cautiously. He decided to deal with Su Chen first. The leader pointed his eyes at the black-clothed man beside him, and the energy of reality gem surged in his hands. Suddenly a red light flashed, and a broken mirror space appeared next to the black ghost. The black-clothed man got in without any hesitation. The leader follows closely behind. The human magician is out of tricks. Looking at the confused leader Su Chen, he couldn't help laughing wildly. The leader affected this mirror space through the reality gem, quietly creating a dream for them to pass through. Looking at the large amount of dark matter in the mirror space, the leader felt a little heartbroken. This was all obtained with his life force. Moreover, the dark matter in the mirror space has no effect on the real world at all. The leader can't help but sigh that the person who created this magic may have a very high level of magic. And they can also see the outside world from inside. There is nothing better than being independent from the world. However, the leader also felt the advantages of this mirror world for magicians, where they could use a wide range of attack magic without any scruples. Don't worry about causing any nominal damage. But this has a fatal flaw. For those who are too strong, it is not easy for the magician to pull the opponent into the mirror space. The magic resistance of every strong person is very strong, and generally cannot be brought in by casting spells at will. Unless the other party actively intends to do so. For example, when Doctor Strange fought Ebony Maw and Thanos, he didn't draw the enemy into it. Think about it, if there is really a bug, you can directly bring the opponent in, and then run out by yourself. The opponent does not have a sling ring to release the deposit door, and there is no portal in the original. Isn't this mirror world like a prison? All the powerful men in the world can be imprisoned in it. Why hasn't this skill evolved? It's not that Doctor Strange didn't want to, it's that he couldn't. In the end, he could only use the wind of Vodome to send ordinary people away safely. So unless you are making a trap or a magician is conducting an assassination, the mirror space does not have much practical significance. It's all because of you. I found this place. At this time, Su Chen was holding a parasol by a swimming pool created in the mirror space, wearing a magician robe, drinking coconut milk, and there was a dog fanning beside her. Especially with an artificial sun overhead. This environment made the dark elves feel physically uncomfortable. Black-clothed man, kill him. Leader looked at Su Chen and frowned. Without any nonsense, he went straight for the assassination. The Black Ghost is the cursed warrior of the Dark Elves. Once the transformation is completed, he has extremely strong strength and strong magic resistance. He is the strongest warrior breed among the Dark Elves, possessing power close to God level. But this kind of cursed warrior is also extremely rare for Dark Elves, and it is a rare existence. Even in its heyday, the number did not exceed 5. The last 5 were stabbed to death by Odin's father, and this one was recently transformed, but with the leader's reality gem, the black-clothed man's strength has become stronger in all aspects. It has completely reached the level of God. Seeing the enemy rushing over, Su Chen quickly controlled the mirror space, and the surrounding terrain was rapidly changing with Su Chen's control. Countless iron pillars came out of the slope and turned into sharp spears to surround the black ghosts. There were even many people surrounding the leader. As Su Chen held the spiked cage made of steel bars with both hands, it suddenly shrank with the 2 people as the center. A large number of spear tips collided and twisted into a strange sphere. But the black-clothed man is directly immune to these injuries by virtue of his superior physical fitness. The leader used reality gem to turn these spears into a ball of water. It seems that their operations are as fierce as tigers, but the actual damage is only 25 cents. The leader was suspended in the distance watching Su Chen and the person constantly fighting. In the mirror space, this is Su Chen's home court. Su Chen can easily control everything in the mirror space. The only thing that has to be paid is magic power. How much magic power Su Chen still has, Su Chen is not very clear after healing the magic power. But if it's just this one battle, Su Chen can still persevere. I saw that under the infusion of Su Chen's magic power, the entire world of London has undergone earth-shaking changes. This is truly earth-shaking in the literal sense. The entire world was flipped 90 degrees to the right, and the gravity that was originally pointing to the ground was also pointed to the midair at a 90-degree angle to the ground. So everyone on the ground fell, but they didn't know where they should fall. The ground underfoot was folded like paper, turning the entire city of London into a spectacular cube. It was impossible to tell where the sky and the earth were from the dazzling stone ruins. It's like a world with 2 levels of reversal. The only gravity that can be used as a guide is turning around in a mess, as if the so-called ground never existed at all. Newton's coffin board has been pressed down by Su Chen and the coffin nails have been set. He won't be able to escape for a while. After turning the world upside down, Su Chen also discovered a problem, that is, many of these powerful people in Marvel cannot fly. He obviously has great strength, but he just can't fly. What will happen if they can't fly? They can only fight on land. You can't fight in any terrain, there are limitations, unless you have the jumping ability of interstellar jumping like Hulk. Otherwise, there's really nothing you can do if someone keeps you in the air. However, the leader realized this and used the reality gem to temporarily give the black-clothed man the ability to fly. Otherwise, the extremely abnormal gravity of the mirror space would easily separate the 2 of them. Su Chen casually stood in a corner of the world with Guzi. At this time, the entire space no longer had the concept of heaven and earth. No matter up, down, left, or right, it was all twisted in strange ways, like a Rubik's Cube being randomly replaced in the space. Facing the pursuit of black men, Su Chen randomly adjusted the position of the building to make way or build a bridge for herself. But none of this can really stop Black. You guys are really annoying. Seeing the Black who kept approaching her and the leader who kept adding buffs to the Black, Su Chen felt for the first time that these guys were so annoying. Reality Gem's ability is really annoying. In fact, an important reason why Su Chen did not dare to confront the enemy head-on was that Su Chen was afraid of the opponent's reality gem, which would suddenly turn him into pieces. However, after Su Chen's experiments, it seems that the other party is not capable enough to directly control life, and can only change some inorganic substances. Even under Guzi's contemptuous gaze, Su Chen threw Guzi to the leader's side. As the dog attacked the leader, although Mjolnir was turned into jelly gummies, it was not turned directly into a hot dog, which proves a lot of things. Woof. Be careful if you trick me like this, I'll summon my father, sir. Su Chen smiled and took out the joy of fire and the sorrow of frost again. Brother, let's start the second round. Su Chen's actions immediately shocked the leader and the Bilk MN. Looking at Su Chen's stance and movement speed, it doesn't look like he's just pretending at all, he is really capable. Both of them looked confused. Are you kidding me? Where did the master who just controlled the world and turned the world upside down go? Although you don't have a necromancer staff, we recognize your magical skills. So now you come here to fight us in close combat. It's because the times are developing too fast, and their brains, which haven't been updated for 5,000 years, don't have enough memory. Before the two of them could react, the red and blue sword blades filled the space on both sides, and Su Chen rushed towards the black. This disguise actually scared the black. Before the black could react, the sword skills like a heavy rain were unleashed on the black. Star explosion abandoned healing slash. The blue light lights up, and with the demon essence, Su Chen's ice modeling skills have skyrocketed, and even Frostmourne can be used more smoothly than before. Then the joyful magic power of fire surged, and a red tongue of fire rushed towards the black ghost, after a short period of energy accumulation. A small mushroom cloud-shaped ring of airwaves exploded. Puff! A red figure rushed out of the thick smoke and stood in front of the leader. The BLCKMN's injuries were not high, he just received a shot of flames and his body temperature was a little high. Wait, are you a magician? The leader was shocked when he saw Su Chen burst out. Although Su Chen's magical attainments just now shocked him enough. But now, I am definitely a magician. I am an outstanding recent graduate from the most famous magic school on earth, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, no, Kamar-Taj School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Su Chen held two swords on his shoulders and said to the two of them with an expression that said he was the only one in heaven and earth. Looking at Su Chen except for a rogue, in Su Chen's current state, the two of them could not see that Su Chen had any magician image. After sleeping for more than 5,000 years, it is normal for the world to change. The leader constantly comforted himself. But seeing Su Chen holding two kitchen knives and pressing down on his men, I suddenly felt so tired. Looking at the leader beside him, he didn't know what to say. You can be considered a magician-type boss. I don't know what abilities and skills the current magician has after I got you the kings. The leader stopped to release the reality gem and was ready to listen to Su Chen's insights. After all, I haven't updated the version in 5,000 years. Maybe after hearing the new outfit ideas, I might be able to confront the God King of Asgard again. Today's great magicians are all melee masters. They hold a sword in their left hand and a sword in their right. Their strength can overwhelm the Demon King, and the magic sea can drown Mephisto in the dimension. These are the magicians. Skills should be full of life and endurance. One-handed sword, two-handed sword, block, charge, critical strike, beheading, and armor piercing should all be fully charged. For spells, just use the lighting spell. Only a little magician like me who has no future can learn such unfashionable spells as space magic. All in all, if you can't exploit warriors in melee combat, you can't be considered a qualified magician. At the moment, veins popped up on the Dark Elf leader's forehead, unable to suppress the ancient power reality gem in his body. Sharp teeth, nonsense. BLCKMN kill him. After saying this, the leader applied a layer of buff to the BLCKMN again, and the BLCKMN was instantly at full status. And it's even stronger than before. It turns out that this is how reality gem is used. Can it also be used as an assistant? You must know that in all the worlds, only assistants are the least to be messed with. Who knows if assistants are the kind of existence that is shocking to the sky? Just like the river god, who knows, this thing is actually a concept god. Who knows whether the river god will appear in the long river of time? Then suddenly a sentence came out. My dear Empress, do you want a golden lover, a silver lover, or this lover without little Gigi? Quote. Even those assistants in the game world, such as the sun god Rina, the time god Kiran. It's all auxiliary. Moreover, the leader of the Dark Elves is still the kind of auxiliary who gains and weakens buffs. Didn't you see that the dog's hammer turned into a gummy candy? The dog was hiding in the corner and licking the handle of the hammer. All I can say is that the hammer handle made of the world tree turns into candy and it's so delicious. This bitch is so unloyal, he even ate it and didn't come to help me. You have to know that he is 1 against 2. One of them even has a reality gem. Dog, stop being angry and stop licking. You are Thor. Don't imitate Thor. Isn't it because the hammer has become soft? I'll make you another one later. Su Chen looked at Thor, who was really licking the hammer, and said, "Woof, I am Thor. This is what you said." Guzi held the soft hammer and looked at Su Chen excitedly. Although Mjolnir had turned into jelly, the power of the artifact he deserved was still there. He can still release thunder and lightning. Although his strength is a bit inferior, Guzi is still very promising, at least not as good as Thor. Now it's 2 against 2. Su Chen once again raised the sword in his hand to face the Dark Elf duo. Su Chen tore off her magician robe again. Torn magician robe. Life returned. Although Su Chen had teleportation skills, he still ran towards the BLCKMN. The BLCKMN didn't have any chab weapons, so the leader immediately used Reality Gem to materialize an axe and equip it on the BLCKMN. When Su Chen rushed in front of the black man, the ground behind him suddenly collapsed, causing a loud roar along the way. The BLCKMN raised his axe high and struck down. Su Chen also raised his fist to meet him. The axe and fist met in midair. After a moment of stillness, a loud roar exploded. Rumble. The shocked air dispersed in a ring, shockwave spread out, and the sudden hurricane caused Guzi and the leader to retreat quickly. He didn't lie to me. He did. Magician has such a melee level. The BLCKMN now reached the rice planter and planted it on the ground, covered in blood. But the leader stepped forward and the reality gem flashed, swiping lightly. Alive. But Su Chen suddenly realized that this was a stupid thing. Help in a group fight without seconds. And the most important thing is, this seems to be Asgard's trouble. Why should the Earth forces solve it? Bringing them both to Asgard and letting them handle it is the correct way to unlock it. The city of London is now in a calm moment. It is a calm and quiet day. Everything is fine here except that there are not many people, and definitely can't rule out the occasional tinkling noise. Suddenly, accompanied by a loud noise, a golden circular portal suddenly appeared in the sky over London. Among them, 4 figures jumped out, and then did not stay for a second, rushing in along with the space channel formed by the 9 stars. Asgard. Odin looked at the reality particles falling from the sky with a solemn expression. TIE particles. Dark elves, weren't they destroyed by my father? Odin holds the spear of eternity and watches as it consumes light and transforms it into dark matter. Father, is this the power of the dark elf ether? We must stop him and destroy the ether, otherwise our world will fall into eternal night. Thor shouted to Odin in the hall as they discussed how to deal with their crisis. How to eliminate it? Odin looked at the silly sun in front of him and said in disappointment. We can use the Bifrost to get to him, and then destroy it with Mjolnir. Odin stumbled and almost fell off the throne. Thor, what courage did you have to say such a thing? Ether, reality gem, do you think this thing is something you can destroy? I dare not say that I have this strength. Besides, your grandfather never thought of destroying it. If it hadn't been for your grandfather, he wouldn't have been able to destroy it. Otherwise, would this ether still be there today? Don't overestimate your ability. Odin suppressed the urge to stab Thor to death. Looking at what Thor was doing now, he regretted why he didn't come all on the wall back then. Another one might be even better than the current one. As all Thor's brain growing muscles. No, there are still some sperm in his head now. No, Odin just finished cursing, and now he is starting to lose focus. Odin, if I hadn't grown old, I would have struck you twice. Hey, I don't know the future. Is it right or wrong to hand Asgard to Thor? Did Thor still have the ability to compete with his sister Hela at that time? Gathering. Is there a glimmer of hope for Loki and Thor's strength? No, You must deal with these things before you die, otherwise the more you think about it, the more desperate you will become. He didn't think about it anymore, now he still had to deal with the problem of the Dark Elves first. He might not be able to defeat the Dark Elves with the reality gem. It would be great if the destroyer armor is still there. I don't know if the dwarf clan has repaired it yet. Gather the army, and while the Dark Elves are still on the earth, we will control the battlefield on the earth. I want to conquer in person. Boom. Odin, you don't have to run so far. I brought you here directly. Come and pick up the guest. Odin, thank you so much. The divine domain in Norse mythology is the seat of the pantheon that believes in Odin as the main god. This is a majestic palace that was moved into the eternal starry sky. On the jasper-colored ocean, a majestic palace seems to have existed forever. The background is the majestic mountains. The palace is located under the mountains, solemn, and sacred. The most eye-catching thing is Bifrost, which stretches across the entire country. The colorful colors make it look like a fairyland in a fairy tale. Asgard is an extremely wonderful place, one of the best in the universe. It does not belong to any fixed star system. It is a continent hanging alone in the deep space universe. There is no rotation of the planet, but there is a distinction between day and night. The sky is blue during the day with a few idle clouds, and the colorful nebulae are dazzling at night. That's right, it's so unreasonable, and this kind of scene can't even hold the nail on Su Chen's coffin. These people are about to raise their coffin and find someone to argue with. The crystallization of high technology and magical power, this is Asgard. But such a beautiful continent has welcomed a group of uninvited guests today. It broke the tranquility that was not very peaceful in the first place. A group of Asgardians were surrounding them with weapons, looking at the four strangers who suddenly broke in. Just now, Su Chen led two dark elves to break in with arrogant power and penetrated the defensive barrier of the Asgard palace. At the moment, there was a burst of big eyes and small eyes. It was definitely the one-eyed little eye that everyone was waiting for Odin. It seemed extremely peaceful in this scene. The dark elf also suddenly found that he seemed to be close to the wolf pile. It was also the first time for the dark elf to see Odin, and he did not react. But just because of his old age, the Asgardian deserves his attention. When everyone met for the first time, except for Su Chen who spoke for the first time, there was no conversation. The hand of the eternal staff held by Odin turned a little white. Unexpectedly, the other party actually sent the dark elves to Asgard. If this was done to a large extent, it would probably send the Asgardians back to their hometowns. Odin did not overestimate the power of this dark elf. Without the reality gem, a few people would die at most. But dark elves with reality gem do have this ability. Odin didn't care about Su Chen's approach of throwing the dark elves directly into the divine realm. If it were him, he would do the same. And he did it even more ruthlessly than Su Chen. Otherwise, do you think Odin's previous expeditions to the Nine Realms were all in vain? Why should a man be a merciful king if he is not ruthless? Are you the dark elves? Give me a hammer. The many Asgardians surrounding him couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. Tony's behavior is a bit reckless. Didn't you see that your father didn't even say anything? Why are you so reckless and want to start a fight? Everyone couldn't help but wonder if this guy was their biological child. No, Loki was the real person. Look at Loki, he has perfectly retained the queen's advantages, inherited his ability almost perfectly, and even reproduced his peerless appearance. Look at Thor again. A wise person like Odin and a virtuous person like the queen are both highly intelligent people. How could you give birth to a reckless man whose brain is all about muscles? Could it be, Lord Odin, are you green? Apart from his growing divine power, there is absolutely no trace of Thor inheriting any of your excellent genes. These people couldn't help but break into a cold sweat without thinking about being loyal to him in the future. Take this opportunity to heal your wounds, retire as soon as possible, find a planet to retire on, and never get involved in Asgard's affairs in the future. With Tony's attack, the battle immediately began. Thor rushed forward with the new Mjolnir in hand, preparing to fight the Dark Elves. But it is still a big boss after all, how could it be taken down by Thor? The BLCKMN was also the leader's guard after all, so how could he let Thor get close to the leader? With his great speed and strength, he struck Mjolnir with an axe. One blow knocked Thor's second favorite hammer away. Wait, then without saying a word, he punched Thor away. Many soldiers were embarrassed not to follow and rushed forward one after another. How strong the BLCKMN is clearly reflected in this little soldier. One punch can kill a kid. Not even breathing, like a ruthless lawn mowing machine. ... For a moment, no one could take care of Thor. Only Odin was shaking slightly and Thor helped him up. Fortunately, he's not dead yet. As expected of his son, he has a good physique. Odin glanced across the hall with his peripheral vision and found that Su Chen, the instigator, had disappeared to nowhere. If it hadn't been for causing unnecessary trouble, Odin would have had the thought of being frustrated in ashes. Dark Elf, Malekis, you shouldn't be here. Do you want to experience defeat again? Odin's eternal spear fired a laser at the leader, but it was easily diffused by the leader using the gem. The leader was dismissive and controlled the reality gem to condense countless spears and shoot at Odin. The gun hits the vital point. Defeated. Are you Asgard brave? If you hadn't stolen the house when we were fighting head-on, I would have lost. Odin's body exploded and bounced away, controlling it with ease. After all, I am old and can no longer fight in close combat. I can only control some magical power and barely be able to fight. In the dungeon, the queen was giving ideological education to Loki, when suddenly a loud noise caught their attention. Is there an enemy invasion? Frigga didn't know why, but the enemies that could invade Asgard were, without exception, the most powerful group in the universe. After thinking for a while, I made a decision. That is to release Loki. The enemy has invaded the divine realm, and it is not safe compared to a prison cell. Take it out and you can run away with Loki in case of danger. Loki, Thor and others may be in danger, let's go help them. No, who's going to help that man who thinks about quintiles flowers? He's not gentle at all. He hurt me last time, I won't pay attention to him anymore. Why did that Thor hurt my baby girl? Why didn't you tell me? See how I deal with him. 200 daggers popped out of the queen's hand instantly, and the cold light was so sharp that it made Loki tremble in fright. Mother, take out the kidney knife and wait for it. Su Chen ran away from the beginning when Thor started the fight. Now Su Chen is leaning on the stone pillar on the side and looking down. Sit on the mountain and watch the tiger fight. Odin knew that the most troublesome person was the leader of the Dark Elves. Now that he had absorbed the reality gem, ordinary Asgardians could not deal with him at all. He can only deal with it by himself. It is estimated that in Asgard, he is the only one who can fight with him, otherwise there will only be guys hiding in the dark. As for the men of the Dark Elf leader, they can only leave it to Thor and the others to deal with it on their own. At the same time, Odin also had a general understanding of Su Chen's strength, and he was able to fight such a powerful enemy to this point. The battle started when Thor started fighting. Odin and the leader of the Dark Elves started fighting without Odin's intention. The remaining soldiers, 37, and Thor fought against the Dark Elves and Black Ghosts. Thor was originally a thick-skinned warrior, but after Odin instilled a little divine power, he immediately regained his liveliness. After all, Odin at this age has nothing but divine power. This Odin may also be the one who died the most tragically among the level god fathers. He was not killed by others, but was exploded by his own divine power. Isn't this a frustrating death? Fortunately, Odin is not dead yet and is still relatively strong. He rushes out of the hall with the leader and starts a 1v1 battle with the old man. Odin also saw that the opponent was an auxiliary. Without the leader, the black man's combat power would be greatly reduced. It's time for the Asgardians to realize that the BLCKMN must die. Finally, let them help you deal with the Dark Elf leader. By then, the leader will be unable to support himself and will definitely be defeated. So Su Chen saw Odin using his divine power to rush out of the hall with the leader of the Dark Elves. Su Chen secretly said that he finally got rid of this trouble. Seeing that the display gem was finally taken away, Chen Yi couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Although reality gem cannot change the body in the hands of the boss, this boss can change the equipment. Su Chen's double swords were successfully sacrificed. Although it can be changed back, at least it is of little use now. Look at the battle between the Asgard people and the Black Devils below. The Black Ghost is very powerful and is a top god level strongman. Even Thor is no match for him. But fortunately, there are many strong people in Asgard, and in Su-chen's perception, there is another strong person coming from Bifrost. Heimdall. He is the patron saint in Norse mythology, responsible for guarding Bifrost, and possesses the eye of Heimdall that perceives all things. Although he is not a god-level warrior, he is still pretty good, at least more fishy than the current silly Thor. And now Su-chen has seen Queen Asgard rushing to the scene. The most important thing is that there is also Loki wearing a princess dress with him. The moment Thor saw Loki, the small universe suddenly exploded, and Su-chen could feel that Su-chen's divine power was growing exponentially. Rumble. The manic thunder plasma and electric fluid erupted from Thor, merged into Mjolnir, and impacted the black man hard. The latter was completely unprepared, and was caught by Thor's plan. His whole body was wrapped in thunder, like a bright and dazzling big light bulb, and his bones could be seen clearly. Boom! The BLCKMN smashed into the splendid wall, and the plasma melted the surrounding area into red mud. His whole body was soaked in the scorching heat, and there was a faint smell of Turkish barbecue. Loki, did you see? I defeated the enemy. Thor raised the Mjolnir in his hand, showing off the muscles in his arms, waving male hormones to his heart's content. Looking at this muscular figure, any girl on Earth would fall for it, but it's a pity that Loki has been among men since he was a child. Thor isn't over yet, don't be too happy. The Queen looked at the BLCKMN who fell to the ground. At the moment, plasma was still swimming around the BLCKMN's body, and the ultra-high temperature made him turn red, and his body smelled like burnt, but this did not affect him. BLCKMN stands up again. Thor was stunned for a moment, never thinking about why the BLCKMN could still stand up despite his explosive seed. Since one thunderbolt can't do it, let's do it again. Thor's momentum soared again, and the Mjolnir in his hand gathered all of Thor's power, and then he rushed forward with a loud shout. The BLCKMN remained unmoved, and did not see any extra movement from him. He just punched with all his strength. BLCKMN, isn't this guy a fool? He was accidentally attacked just now, so he doesn't think he is really good. %. Boom. There was a loud noise and Thor flew backwards. He happened to fall into Loki's arms. A large amount of blood came out of Thor's mouth. Thor, who had been majestic before, lay groaning like a dead dog. He is indeed a god-level figure, but he can even defeat a false god like Thor with one punch. How dare you hit my man? Loki looked at Thor who was dying in his arms. The emotions he had cultivated for many days could not hide the anger in his heart again. While Thor was still savoring the warmth, Thor exclaimed and was thrown to the ground by Loki. Thor, why don't you let me lie down for a while? Loki couldn't help but say, and two ancestral daggers popped out of his hand. Queen Mother, we're on the right track. I saw two long daggers appearing in the Queen's hands. Under the flow of divine power, they looked cold and sharp. The two Asgard women rushed towards the black man one behind the other. I have to say that the combat quality of the two magicians is really high. Except for their small strength, it is obvious that the two magicians are at an advantage. The two magicians almost walked the BLCKMN and then fought. As expected of his masters from the same school, Loki was worthy of being taught by the Queen, and his fighting methods were all copied from the same mold. And even if we cooperate with each other, it will be very intimate. The dagger left a deep and shallow wound on the BLCKMN's body. Suddenly the fighting BLCKMN punched Loki in the face. Before he could feel the pleasure of fisting, the Loki in front of him disappeared like a phantom. Before he could react or make any move, Luigi's true body suddenly appeared and stood out from behind the BLCKMN. A sharp dagger penetrated the black man's body and hit his kidneys. The Queen was not idle either. The next moment the Queen's figure was like a ghost, also appearing behind the BLCKMN. Another blow to the kidney knife. After Loki and the Queen pierced the BLCKMN's waist with their daggers, Loki still wasn't relieved and even stirred it up a bit. Su-chen didn't know how many aliens there were. Anyway, there were only two on Earth. If this alien only had these two, he would probably be useless in this life. With deep hatred, the BLCKMN grabbed one of the hands of Loki and the Queen, and threw them both out with anger. After throwing it out, the BLCKMN quickly pulled out the dagger from his waist. A stream of bright red blood flowed out from the black man's waist. The strong dark elf warrior finally couldn't hold it back and fell to his knees on the ground, covering his waist and crying. Roar %. %. A roar resounded throughout Asgard, overwhelming anger and murderous intent filled the air, and a terrifying aura surrounded the center of the hall. The BLCKMN's sanity has successfully gone offline, and his whole body is filled with a ferocious aura. He looked at the two Asgard women with a somewhat evil look, as if he wanted to tear them apart XX. Ahem. The BLCKMN rushed towards Loki and the Queen. Extremely simple. After all, there are no bells and whistles about ability. For the dark elves who are cursed warriors, just do it and that's it. He definitely wouldn't be able to do it without his waist. Boom. Faced with the brutal collision, the two Asgard women were helpless. Their heads were still dizzy from the fall just now. After all, neither of them had any defense points, unlike they were all on defense because they were afraid of pain. They are authentic crispy magicians. Fortunately, the savior arrived at this time. Heimdall arrived with the Sword of Guardian. Heimdall dragged the Sword of Guardianship in front of the Queen and Loki. The terrifying power spread under Heimdall's feet. In an instant, terrifying cobweb cracks appeared in the palace. 1 punch, 2 punches, 3 punches. Just like hitting a stone, 1 punch is 80. The roar like a pile driver set off earthquake-like fluctuations. The solid walls of the palace cracked into thin cracks, and the emperor's stones fell from the dome, revealing the exquisite murals inside. It's a pity that no one under these works can appreciate it, so Su-Chen has to admire this beautiful mural alone. Seeing Heimdall coming, the Queen and Loki looked at each other, stepped back again, and prepared to hit the opponent with 2 kidney knives. What if dark elves have 4 kidneys? But the prepared BLCKMN had noticed. He kicked Heimdall away with his sword, and the black man turned around and punched the 2 people who were preparing for a sneak attack. By the way, he slapped a young Loki and held his neck with one hand, while the Queen was kicked away. %. Not interested. Loki was weakly held in the black man's hands, and with everyone's astonished eyes on her, he grabbed her neck and lifted her up. Looking at Loki in his hand, the BLCKMN also smiled proudly. He didn't kill her. Instead, he put his neck close to Loki's ear, sniffing the faint fragrance of Loki's body. The BLCKMN did it on purpose. He wants revenge. He wants to avenge his kidney just now. If he doesn't take revenge, he will be sorry for his kidney. Loki was choked to the point of losing oxygen, so he used his last bit of strength to pull out the dagger and stab it into the BLCKMN's heart. But it's useless. Loki has no strength. Even if he uses a dagger that can break through god-level defenses, he can't break through the Black Ghost's body. Just when the BLCKMN was about to hook Loki's chest strap with his sharp claws, Thor, who was dying on the side, was angry. Violent thunder and lightning roamed Thor's limbs. Bang bang bang. Mjolnir also suddenly felt something and trembled, and dazzling thunder and lightning energy mixed with divine power poured out like an explosion. The thick clouds in the sky were torn apart easily at this moment, and a superstorm rolled up, covering Thor. The palace was also shaking violently, and huge amounts of cracks were opened. Countless broken palace walls exploded and collapsed uncontrollably. Let Loki go. A powerful divine power swept through the entire Asgard, and countless people trembled. Odin, who is fighting the leader, feels something. My baby has finally grown up. %. Facing the BLCKMN who did nothing, Thor was also angry, and Mjolnir waved lightly. The thunder and lightning storm that had already condensed into reality was like a flood bursting at this moment, rushing towards the BLCKMN crazily. As soon as the thunderous energy of the BLCKMN comes into contact with his arm, it will turn into nothing, and he can't even stop it. The thunder energy under Thor's control did not harm Loki. Although the attack power is powerful, the energy is consumed quickly before it spreads to the BLCKMN's fatal parts. %. Almost killed me. Because the previous state was so bad, even the explosive seed did not make any splash. It hasn't even been 3 seconds yet, and you're already kneeling. What will Loki do if you ask him so soon? Or has Loki used too many kidney knives on you in the past, resulting in your inability to continue? However, the queen saw Thor's performance, and now she seemed to know the correct way to use Thor's. Fortunately, the BLCKMN is already severely disabled, and the people below seem to be able to quickly resolve the battle if they attack in groups. But Su Chen feels that she still needs to show off, and then take your baby away in an upright manner. After all, being sneaky doesn't have a good reputation. So Su Chen decided to grab the head. What's that? In fact, this monster is mine. I just got lost, and then I found him. Can you give this monster to me? Su Chen walked behind Thor, lifted him up, and handed him to Loki under Loki's angry eyes. What are you looking at? You should thank me for letting you find true love. Heimdall. If I didn't have the Heimdall eye that perceives all things, I would have really believed you when I saw you watching a play in a corner of the palace. Su Chen didn't talk nonsense. The sword in his hand turned into knots and could not be used for a while. But it didn't affect him. Su Chen activated the demonic essence, controlled the power of ice, and immediately condensed 200 swords in his hand. The sorrow of frost, the joy of ice. Although it's not as awesome as the original, it's still passable. A BLCKMN without a leader to give him a buff is nothing. The BLCKMN who can barely fight against the combined efforts of everyone can easily touch his throat with 2 swords. BLCKMN, Pawn. Odin and the leader of the Dark Elves ran to the outside world. Their battle began. Although the old Odin also possessed far more power than Asgard, he was even stronger than Thor. This is also the physical capital to have the courage to have another baby. If he weren't too old, he wouldn't live for a few more years, and it would be too long to train a successor. Otherwise, Odin would really have the courage to add a younger brother or sister to Thor. Facing the leader of the Dark Elves who possesses the reality gem, Odin actually has no other choice but to fight with the opponent. Reality gem's ability almost allows users to ignore these scientific laws and make their own arrangements. People often say that certain opinions are true, and using this gemstone can truly turn these opinions into facts with skyrocketing prices. It's like the Dark Elves want to shroud the entire universe in darkness. Reality gem's ability to modify rules is very strong, but it is also the most difficult to use. People can realize any dreams using it, and all scientific rules and natural laws are meaningless in its face, because reality gem can do whatever they want. Although it is strong, it cannot be used alone. Without the assistance of other gems, it will be devastating to the user. It needs to consume the host's original life, so the Dark Elves don't dare to use it casually. The main reason is that his original strength is not strong. It is only after using reality gem that he can compete with Odin. If Original had the same strength as Odin or Uncle Thanos, the Dark Elves would have shrouded the world in darkness by now. Odin and the leader of the Dark Elves fought very well. You ejaculate once and I ejaculate once. Odin's spear of eternal marks fires lasers one after another driven by Odin's divine power. However, this eternal mark gun does not have the strength and majesty of the past. It is now like a soft rubber band. Odin can only hold the head of the gun and shoot at each other. In the same way, the eternal spear is an artifact. With the current strength of the leader, he was still unable to kill the artifact without causing any damage. In the end, he could only fight with Wen Yongen's gun. Such a weak grab is equivalent to cutting off the strongest ability of this gun. Once thrown, it will definitely hit the target. He is a magic gun that always hits the mark. At this time, this kind of power is only possible with the huge divine blessing of Odin, in conjunction with his ability to perceive the 9 realms. This gun can attack any target he wants in the 9 realms. Now that it has become so soft, even if it is shot, it has no power. Although it seems that Odin won't be able to hold on for long if he keeps shooting like this, but now the leader is really impatient. Because if we continue to fight like this, we may not be able to finish it every few days and nights. Looking at the old man Odin and his seemingly infinite power, the leader just felt that this old man from Asgard was a monster. Several battles did not yield any benefits. The power of the rays shot by the cold and indifferent spear of eternal marks requires a lot of vitality to resolve. The situation reached a deadlock for a while, and he wanted to help the BLCKMN. But this old man always comes to harass me from time to time, which is very annoying. Old man, do you need help? Su Chen's voice came from nowhere and shouted to Odin. After all, Odin was the only one present who looked very old. Although the dark elf hair is very white. What do you think? Odin felt that his face was a little tense. After all, this enemy wants the earth to attack me. Why does Asgard? This is the trouble you brought us. Now you have the nerve to ask me if you need any help. Why are you so thick-skinned? Su Chen's figure suddenly appeared behind Odin, looking at the rubber-like spear in Odin's hand and smiling slightly. HMPH. Brat, are you afraid that all your good babies will turn into this kind of rubber warp? Odin didn't care about Su Chen behind him. After knowing the opponent's ability, he also knew why Su Chen couldn't kill them both. He probably felt that it was too much of a disadvantage. The loss cannot be borne by him alone. Yes, it's just that I fought with the Demon King before, and my magic power was a bit low, so I couldn't beat him. I definitely didn't throw it to Asgard on purpose. Su Chen said innocently, but Odin obviously didn't believe it. Asshole, you guys ignored me and were just chatting on your own. The leader of Yibian looked at these two people, obviously angry. You actually treat him like air, after all, he is still very strong. After speaking, the red energy spread out and quickly condensed, transforming into countless leading weapons of different shapes, possessing great power with the blessing of Reality Gem. Now he has gradually mastered the use of Reality Gem. He no longer pursues permanent props, but now just provides timely props and throws them away after use. This consumes very little on yourself. Countless weapons were fired at Su Chen and Odin. Are you cosplaying the king's treasure? Can't you get something else? Boom boom boom. These weapons exploded violently after failing to attack Su Chen and Odin. Even on the Sea of God's domain, Odin controls his divine power to recharge his magic shield for free. Su Chen didn't have much mana left, so he just relied on his amazing agility to dodge. The bombing ended, and Su Chen and Odin emerged from the thick smoke intact. Quite calm, I said, although he has the ability of ether and can change matter, he cannot change the body, and his body is still quite fragile. I will create an opportunity for you, and you end him. Su Chen shouted to Odin. Odin thinks that Su Chen is right, and it is not very beneficial to Asgard to wait for too long. And the longer you delay, the more your body will suffer. It's time for a quick decision. But he still has a question. Why didn't I create a chance for you and you end him? Facing Odin's question, Su Chen smiled slightly. I'm definitely thinking about you. You see, now that the 9 realms are connected, everyone in the 9 realms can see your majestic scene. Isn't it very helpful to support Asgard and maintain the rule of the 9 realms? Does it prove that you are protecting the safety of the 9 realms? Does it show your bravery? Does it show your image as a benevolent king? I'm thinking about you. Look how nice I am. Odin then thought about it and it seemed like this was the case. When Su Chen saw this, they are indeed a family, Thor is indeed his biological child, and his IQ is not as good as above. Su Chen says he will do what he says and cover for Odin. Not doing anything at all. When she was entangled with the leaders before, Su Chen had already held back. The reason was simple. She was afraid that the leader would suddenly explode. After all, Reality Gem, not necessarily. As for Odin, he is resistant to damage. There is no shame in fighting. It is normal to be defensive. Magicians talk about chivalry, and being obscene is what a magician should do. Manually funny. So where do you put the assassin? Assassin, isn't it true that an assassin is strong in everything and unparalleled in everything? I'll kill everyone and no one will know I've been here. And although Odin is older and his physical fitness has declined, there should still be no problem with his physical body and the dark elf. Ice Spear. Under the activation of the demonic essence ability, countless ice spears appeared in the sky. Hundreds of thousands of ice spears were fired in the direction of the leader, and the leader also responded to him by using Reality Gem to create weapons. Obviously the weapons made by Reality Gem are stronger. One spear often requires 3 or 4 spears to destroy. However, there is nothing at Su Chen, except that the portion is large and the food is full. Boom 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 1. Like a modern war air interceptor missile exploding in the air, like a firework constantly exploding in the air. Every attack is a deafening explosion. The sky is full of ice shards scattered across the sky, like stars in the sky, under the sunshine of Asgard. I don't know where the light comes from. Su Chen has just come into contact with the demon's essence, and has not yet developed his ability to the extreme, being able to use moves that freeze time and space. Lancer didn't have time to accumulate energy, but he was still competent at this simple modeling technique. For a gem that can modify the rules of the world at will, no, it can even be said that this ability is a kind of plug-in. What was a good fight turned into a battle of unlimited firepower. This passing dark elf leader is not constantly shooting at each other, but is also constantly strengthening the proficiency of this reality gem. During this process, Su Chen was tested again and again, trying to find out Su Chen's weaknesses. Su Chen can clearly feel that the dark elf leader is becoming more and more proficient in controlling reality gem. This war is obviously going to become a war of attrition. Even if Su Chen is happy, Odin is not happy either. After all, this is not Earth. If the fight continues like this, Ragnarok will no longer be needed, and Asgard will be left alone. Odin thought, this is the opportunity you created. In this case, I can do it myself. Su Chen ignored Odin, who was imagining things on the side. After just finding a position, he began to control distractedly, with his hands on his hips, and a powerful wave of power condensed for a round. Turtle-style Qigong wave. Go to hell, Su Chen roared, and a beam of light instantly arrived in front of the leader. Upon seeing this, the leader immediately controlled the reality gem to offset this powerful energy ray. It's ridiculous, you think you can break through the defense around me? Any attack that appears around me will be blocked by reality gem. The leader of the Dark Elves laughed wildly, and the energy around him was filled with reality gem. This energy could not only condense weapon attacks, but even offset energy impacts, like a magic shield. At this time, Asgard's Bifrost suddenly intervened, and a stream of colorful energy rushed towards the leader of the Dark Elves. It turns out that Heimdall has returned to Bifrost's location and activated Asgard, the star-killing weapon. Boom! The leader of the Dark Elves had no choice but to use all his strength to activate the reality gem to resolve the power. However, at this time, the space around the leader suddenly shattered. A golden light shines, not a spear, but a dagger full of holiness. Dagger. I am a dagger that never takes blood. Odin suddenly broke through the mirror space and appeared directly behind the leader, and delivered a kidney knife in his hand. Odin. The leader was a little weak in the attack of this ancestral kidney knife. This knife is also a small artifact, specially designed to attack the body and soul. The leader shouted unwillingly, looking back at Odin beside Su Chen, and found that this, Odin, turned out to be just a phantom. In the end, Odin was still worried. He pulled out the dagger again and stabbed the dark elf in the heart. The sharp attribute of the small artifact can easily penetrate the body of the dark elf leader. Odin can clearly feel that the dagger is tearing apart the leader's body and soul. He will not die soon. The dark elf looked at Odin behind him with endless anger in his heart. He already felt that he was not going to die soon. This is an injury that reality gem cannot reverse. He is so cruel. Are you Asgardians stealing from your ancestors? The dark elf leader stared hard at the man in front of him. It was him and his ancestor, father, who blocked him time and time again. Don't you just want to restore the ecological balance? Don't you want to develop the dark elves who are on the verge of extinction? Don't you just want to ensure the diversity of species in the universe? It's not like I raided your ancestral graves. Is it necessary to go against yourself like this? If the environment changes, you won't die. Could it be that you are worried that you will not be able to find the correct location in the dark? Malekith, the leader of the Dark Elves, can no longer hide his inner anger. Kill him, kill him. He was about to die, and the life energy in his body was wasted if it was not used. Finally, in despair, he sacrificed all his life energy. The whole body exploded. A torrent of red immediately swept over Odin. What's going on now? Odin was a little confused for a moment as to what was happening, but he knew that this reality gem energy made him feel dangerous, even a little bad. The red particles are constantly decomposing Odin after touching it. These energies actually wanted to erase Odin's existence from the source. Odin quickly retreated, but reality gem was still chasing after him. Fortunately, Odin has strong divine power. After consuming a lot of divine power and sacrificing an arm, he successfully got rid of the reality particles. Consume the soul of the dark elf leader in reality gem. In the end, only a ball of etheric liquid was left, unconsciously surging in the air. In the Great Hall of Asgard, with a radiant face, Loki looked at Mjolnir, the orange-yellow Shiba Inu wearing a red cloak and about 70 to 80 centimeters tall. Thor, it's you again. Loki, is this the dog brother you are talking about? So cute. As the queen, Frigga immediately had red hearts in her eyes after seeing the Shiba Inu. Apparently the Shiba Inu has captured the queen's heart. Come on, mom, rub it. After saying this, the queen pinched the dog's face and changed it into various shapes. Woof, I am Thor. After Thor finished speaking, he burst out with the power of thunder. Wow, it's really the power of Thor. Could it be that your brother didn't control his lower body and had sex with that bitch girl? The queen picked up the dog and looked at it carefully, wanting to see the power contained in the dog's blood. But for a long time, I didn't see anything special. Instead, I was massaged very comfortably in the queen's hands. Because Loki and the queen were so unpredictable, Guzi fell instantly. At this time, Thor fainted on the side, no one paid attention to him, and now he gradually woke up. Seeing the beloved Shiba Inu. Loki is mine, why are you fighting with me, my dog? Shouldn't you go find a bitch? Before she could make a sound, she heard the queen murmuring to herself. After all, I, Thor, am also a dignified prince of the divine realm. What kind of lovely wife and concubine can I not find? Will you proactively find a dog? Even if you are too energetic to go to Loki. Well, it used to be a man. Then you can fight with a bayonet. Now I understand that as long as there is love, gender is not a barrier. So Loki is mine, and no one of you can take it away. And even if you are not sensible at that time, you can still find the big girl Sif no matter what. Why are you looking for a dog? Therefore, if you are unjustly accused, you should ask your mother to argue with you if you are unjustly accused. Queen Mother, couldn't it be the one that my father was looking for outside? Before Thor could finish speaking, the queen slapped him away. Thor's whole body reached a height of 360 degrees and Thomas spun and fell to the ground. Thor, GG. Su Chen looked at Odin's tragic situation and couldn't help but praise his intelligence. Odin, on the other hand, looked ashen. This time he had been tricked by the dark elf, and his already very old body was now even more exhausted. Fortunately, he had perceived huge amounts of progress in Thor's divine power before, otherwise he would really be worried about the fate of Asgard after he accidentally passed away. Fortunately, although he will die, his huge divine power can still survive in the world for a short period of time. With the divine power that Thor just exploded, I am helping him in bursting into flames. The future seems promising. Congratulations to God King Odin for destroying the Dark Elves again. Seeing Su Chen's compliment, Odin smiled helplessly. It seemed that he had been in a high position for too long and his heart was too swollen. I didn't even see such an obvious trap. But it's not easy for him to have an attack now. After all, with his current self and the fact that the big family in God's domain is old, weak, sick and disabled, there is really nothing that can be done about the magicians on this earth. And he also has a child on earth. If Su Chen can help, maybe he can solve the family conflict. So although Odin felt a lot of trouble in his heart, the powerful actor Su Yang immediately helped him stabilize his emotions. Magician of Earth, thank you for helping us encircle and suppress the enemies of Asgard. On behalf of the people of Asgard, I would like to express my sincere gratitude. He stretched out his hand to avoid hitting the smiling man, and Su Chen did not behave like a monster. He also kindly used his healing power to help Odin recover from his wounds. But the wounds created by Reality Gem are not so easy to recover. Even the healing power that can reborn a broken limb can only repair the wound, but cannot reborn the broken limb. Guest, why don't you just sit in the palace? Odin saw Kong Naluo's arm, and it seemed that he could only be a Condor hero in the future. And it's my dominant right hand. I'll fight this pair in the future. If you have a wife, you don't need a duster. Therefore, it will not affect the happy life of the couple in the future at all. Okay, no problem. After saying that, Su Chen put the liquid transformed by Reality Gem into a small bottle without leaving any trace, and then took it away. Odin, you think I am blind? This is Ming Chang. If I hadn't been a wise king for so many years and cultivated my character for so long, I would have developed a good attitude that is not alarmed by changes. If he had been as energetic and decisive as before, he would have poked 2 or 3 holes in Su Chen's body with the eternal spear. However, this reality gem is indeed a tricky thing, and the injured Li Ding really has no energy left to protect the reality gem. If I remember correctly, the other party already had Space Gem and Mind Gem, plus his teacher's original Time Gem. It is conceivable that the Earth will be a whirlpool of war in the future. I don't know if Asgard's involvement is a good thing or a bad thing. Odin then went to the palace of Asgard with Su Chen. Odin looked at the palace, which was almost broken with limbs and arms. Odin's only son couldn't help but clenched his fists. What is going on here? Looking at Thor who fainted, Odin kicked him awake. I feel so angry and need to vent my anger. Should I kick Loki? Girls can't bear it. As for the queen, she was venting her anger at night. With the thought of a poor boy, he kicked Thor and went down. Thor slowly came back to his senses and said vaguely, "Oh, weren't we fighting just now? Father, it's you. Have you ever found a dog outside?" Odin's face darkened, and he slapped Thor's face flatly. "Speak up. Battle, can you make a palace made of special materials like this?" Looking at the ruins of the palace, Odin became less angry. "I did it. I became stronger. Father." Thor looked excited. The power of his previous explosion made him linger. "Get stronger." Odin slapped Thor to the ground as soon as he hit him. Thor again. GG. Odin. What a dog. Specialized in tearing down homes. In fact, Odin doesn't know where this is going. As soon as he became the king of Asgard, he exploded Asgard at the top of the universe. All that's left is a pile of cosmic dust. Only then did Thor's name resound throughout the universe. When it comes to raising a family ruining Odin, his level is obviously not as high as Hong Chu's skin. In this empty hall, Odin asked a few people to bring a few stools and sit on them. "I'm sorry that my humble home is so simple. I'm just kidding." Odin spoke to Su Chen. Although he could hear that he was embarrassed, he didn't show any embarrassment at all. He was not angry that Su Chen took away the reality gem. The reality gem was like an equivalent exchanger. Without the cooperation of other gems, the price paid was too heavy. So Odin didn't have the idea of taking back the reality gem by force. After thinking about it, Odin looked away. "No laughing, no laughing. If you have anything to say, just tell me." Su Chen doesn't shy away from having sex with these people. She really may not be able to beat him. Compared to that, you also know about the goddess of death, Hela, who is sealed in your earth. Hela, the goddess of death, Odin's eldest daughter, accompanies Odin to conquer the 9 realms of strength, and she even has special abilities. There is a strength bonus effect in the land of Asgard. As long as Hela is not powerful in this land, his power will never dry up and decline, but there is a fly in the ointment. The speed is increasing a bit slowly. She may be invincible, but I don't know how many years it will take. But judging from the time before sealing him, he has already reached the Odin level of power. It was even said that she could no longer be killed and could only be sealed. I know, this thing was sealed by you on a certain coastline in Norway. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Su Chen rubbed his chin and thought, the location of Hela's seal is not a secret in the magician world. This kind of seal, as long as the magician is not seeking death, generally no one will touch it. I thought, if we had time, we might try limiting Hela again. After all, Odin didn't say anything about killing Hela. No problem, but it's the reward. After saying this, Su Chen chuckled. Su Chen has been coveting the items in Odin's treasure house for a long time. After Odin thought for a moment, he agreed. In today's treasure house, there are only a few that can be called treasures. Although it is heartbreaking, for the future of Asgard, this unnecessary trouble must be solved. If this Earth's magician takes action and seals it again, even if he dies and the seal weakens, Hela will still be trapped. I'm willing to take out 3 treasures from my treasure house as a reward. Odin made a quick decision and immediately confirmed that he could do it. He gritted his teeth with the 3 treasures, and it was not a loss after this battle. "You're welcome. It's done." Su Chen also smiled. "I originally thought that I would sneak into the treasure house later and grab some things. But I didn't expect that someone would put my pillow on me when I fell asleep. Odin's treasure house actually has restrictions. Most people have to put a lot of effort into it, and the things inside are usually restricted. If you don't know how to use it, you can't usually use it. This dishonest act would save Su-Chen a lot of brain cells. Will we still be friends when we meet again? Odin couldn't help laughing when he saw Su-Chen agreeing so readily. Your teacher and I have a close relationship. You can even treat me as your uncle. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, you can ask us for help. Obviously, anyone who understands ability knows that Odin was just saying a polite word. But Su-Chen seemed to take it seriously and said shamelessly, yes. The scene fell into embarrassment for a time. Odin's smile froze instantly. I didn't know what to say for a moment, so I just asked you to say something polite. Didn't your teacher Ancient One teach you? Why do you want Asgard's advanced technological and magical knowledge? As a countryman who has never seen much of the world, after I came to Asgard, I deeply felt the poverty and backwardness of my hometown, so I wanted to do something for my hometown. Su-Chen pounded her chest as she spoke, as if shedding tears for the poor farmers in her hometown. Su-Chen even moved herself as she spoke. The main reason for wanting these things is still Asgard, as a Protoss where technology and magic coexist. These advanced magical knowledge can help Earth magicians avoid many detours. And with this knowledge, Su-Chen can add a little buff to himself after learning it. Will he become stronger soon? Okay, I can provide you with some knowledge of Asgard's advanced technology and magic. Odin glanced at Su-Chen and was speechless for a moment, but finally sighed helplessly. After agreeing, Su-Chen's brain circuit was a little strange. You couldn't even hear the obvious polite words just now. But I just walked into Heiko, can I still break my promise now? Then where can I put my face as the God King? I will ask someone to send the magic scroll and the technology scroll later. No, the magic scroll can be sent over, and the technology scroll, don't worry, don't you have Bifrost? Because I don't understand this, so I will go back and find someone to help. When the time comes, we will organize a scientific expedition team to come over. I hope you can receive them kindly and let them admire the great glory of Asgard. Odin, I'm so angry, I obviously have something I really want to say MMP, but on the surface I still have to keep smiling. What else do you need? Ahem, it's getting late, and I still need to rest. You should go get the things in the treasure house as soon as possible. Odin wanted to be polite, but then he thought that the follow-up visit was really rude, so he stopped talking sensibly. Seeing Odin's somewhat embarrassed figure supported by the queen, Su-Chen was disappointed. I couldn't help but sigh. What a pity. Why don't you continue talking? As long as you dare to speak, I will continue to ask for it. If Odin were here, he would probably point at Su-Chen's nose and say, why don't you say you are so shameless? A moment later, a group of soldiers delivered a cart full of magic scroll books. These are relatively basic necromancers similar to magic, and most of them come from the Queen's people. But there are no more advanced ones. Who can't have a little secret and hide a thing or two? Su-Chen expressed his understanding. Regarding the use of magic power, Asgard seems to have lit up a new skill tree. Gave Su-Chen a lot of inspiration. For some magicians, a magician means a lifetime. But who is Su-Chen, a person who owns a plugin? This thing is trivial. Please like and subscribe. Chapter 111. After a while, Su-Chen followed the guard to Odin's treasure house to look for a treasure suitable for him. Soon we came to the door of a treasure house with huge amounts. The door was closed tightly. It was obvious that even if the outside world had experienced such a heavy battle, the defensive barrier of this treasure house was still intact. Following some operations by the guards, the door to the treasure house was finally opened. Without hesitation, Su-Chen stepped directly into Odin's treasure house. As the treasure house of the Asgardian monarch, there are really endless treasures in it. They are not just the things shown in the original work, but there are also many treasures that have never appeared in the original work. There are even weapons and many other things whose effects are not known at all. In the original work, as Ragnarok and the entire Asgard were destroyed, these treasures were naturally destroyed, and they were scattered, and the artifacts were scattered, and no one knew where they would go in the future. I was picked up by a boy from an unknown planet and became a boy who slayed a dragon. unfold stories one after another. From this point, Thor's failure can be seen. Su Chen didn't have any hesitation, just followed the feeling and thought about it, a treasure position. If there are no accidents, the ice giant's most precious treasure, the water chest, should be in this treasure house. Su Chen even saw the infinity gauntlet along the way. Well, even though it's just a fake infinity gauntlet, it still looks pretty. And this trap is too big for me. The gloves were too big and didn't fit Su Chen's hand shape, so I had no choice but to give up. In the future, when Tony's nano armor comes out, it would be good to ask him to make a glove. Finally, after wandering around for a long time, Su Chen finally came to the ice box. This ice box is useless in Hela's eyes. But the casket of ancient winters is not as useless as Death God Hela said, but the Marvel Universe and its rare and powerful artifact. However, the use of it is more strategic than the battle originally. Casket of Ancient Winters is similar to the Eternal Fire, it can summon the power of ice, and the cold air it releases can instantly freeze a planet. The planet where the giants of Jotunheim live is actually covered in frost for this reason. Therefore, if the giants of Jotunheim take this artifact to any planet, they will have the ability to destroy the civilization of that planet. Moreover, their combat power will also be improved on a planet full of ice and snow. This is also an important reason why Odin confiscated it. And the Eternal Fire can burn everything. In the Marvel Comics, after the flame giant Surta integrated the Eternal Fire, Asgard used all the ice in the 9 realms to resist, but was finally burned to death by the flame giant. The Casket of Ancient Winters was definitely not used directly at the time, and it is not clear whether the Casket of Ancient Winters can release ice infinitely, but in theory it should be an unlimited source of ice energy. If Loki had been in the treasury at the time and had taken the Casket of Ancient Winters instead of the Tesseract, perhaps Asgard would have been destroyed so easily by the flame giant. Finally, you can even use Casket of Ancient Winters to clean up the mess after flame giant kills Hela, or after Hela is crippled. Why did Su Chen take Casket of Ancient Winters? The reason is that the essence of demons has a shadow hidden ability, which is to store ice energy. Released in one breath during the battle. With Casket of Ancient Winters, after absorbing Li Li of Casket of Ancient Winters, Su Chen can release ice energy almost infinitely. Then Su Chen came to a brazier with blazing flames inside. What is surprising is that there is no fuel in this brazier, but the flame is burning brightly and will never go out. Is this the Eternal Fire? Su Chen looked at the brazier in front of him and murmured in his heart. It looks so low. In Su Chen's eyes, the burning flame is not as awesome as the fire of hell, but can this flame be named after the fire of hell? Su Chen was not polite and took the Eternal Fire away directly. I definitely still have a little bit of the Eternal Fire left behind, so I can't do things too far. If this kind of fire has experienced thousands of years of warming, it is not impossible that it will recover and become the same as before. Then Su Chen started to wander around, looking at Asgard's background. As for the last item, Su Chen didn't like any of them in this treasure house. If there is a baby named after Space Gem, I would still pay attention to it, but unfortunately there is not. I thought about it for a moment. There is no treasure I want in this treasure house. How about I ask you to ask King Dwarf to create an artifact for me? Su Chen said to the first guard on the side. The guard couldn't make a decision for a while, so he had to report it to Odin himself. Odin thought for a moment. First ask what type of artifact it is. Odin learns from every experience and is able to turn the corner. Report. It's the Storm Axe. The Storm Axe is an artifact created by the Dwarf King, a tree of Nidave for Thor, which is powerful enough to kill Thanos. Even in the movie, Thor relied on the Storm Axe to break the barrier created by the Infinite Gems, overwhelmed the Infinity Gauntlet, and severely damaged the invincible Thanos. Although it has the buff of blessing from Loki's death to Thor. But it is undeniable that the Storm Battle Axe is an extremely powerful artifact. Why does Su Chen want a Storm Axe? Su Chen doesn't use thunder and lightning, or even Mjolnir. But you need child care. The previous Mjolnir was turned into a gummy bear by the leader of the Dark Elves. This left Tuor without a hammer, and now he was looking at Su Chen with pitiful eyes. Su Chen thought for a while, asking for Mjolnir is a bit low, why not just get it right in one step and get the artifact directly? Su Chen wasn't worried at all that the stooge couldn't use the Storm Axe. It made no sense that Thor, that tough guy, could use it, but my stooge couldn't. And Thor has the same power as Thor. It makes no sense that Thor can use the storm axe to become so strong, but he can't. When Thanos comes to Earth, all he needs is Su-Chen to take action and kill a small Thanos with one blow. After thinking about it for a while, I came up with this idea. Odin thought for a while and decided to give it. Since Su-Chen wants the storm axe, he can't treat his son Thor badly. So, King Dwarf, just work harder and make 2 storm axes. Dwarf King. MMP. Earth New York Holy Place Mirror Space. Boom. At the moment Su-Chen has flame in one hand and ice in the other. Prepare to integrate energy, prepare to purify your own ability. Let the demonic essence's ice element control, and control the eternal fire's ability integrate. Finally evolved into temperature control. However, this idea is a bit whimsical. It is not easy to integrate things that are not of the same origin, but one has fire in one hand and ice in the other. It can perfectly restore the joy of fire and the sorrow of frost. Looking at the mirror world, half of it is lava hell and half of it is frost world. If there is another pool in the middle, you can cosplay the ice and fire Liangyi Spring. Looking at this terrible scene, it is estimated that no one will dare to enter this mirror space for a while. By the way, mirror spaces are interconnected, there is no such thing as one mirror space for each person. Everyone can go to the mirror space opened by magician. There is no such thing as a mirror space being your own private space. And Su-Chen uses mirror space to practice magic. Although Su-Chen outputs magic to restore the world, restoration still takes time. In particular, there are many real particles in the mirror space because of Su-Chen. It was quite difficult to recover, but fortunately the Ancient One magician has already gone to remedy the situation. As for why Su-Chen didn't go, he had only had 2 fights and was very tired. He needed to rest. And after being fed up with Loki and Thor's dog food, he wants to find a girlfriend. It is now a month after Su-Chen returned from Asgard. Odin did not come down with him. According to him, he wanted to ensure his condition. Now he needs to take a good rest. It will take some time to build the storm axe. The creation of the artifact is not as simple as in the movie. The complexity is far beyond imagination. Just the runes and other things engraved in it will take a long time to be engraved. But there's no need to lick the dog's Mjolnir. Because Su-Chen signed in a lot of restless people, the trouble was solved. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring the skill, Alchemy, from Fullmetal Alchemist. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the skill, Void Engine, from Super Seminary. Dash! Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting the prop, the magnifying lamp, from Doraemon. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting the prop, Skyblade number 7, from Super Seminary. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting the plugin, the Universal Angel plugin Pandora, for artificial entertainment. With the addition of Reality Gem's good stuff of sign-in, the quality improved immediately. This alchemy is already the alchemy that peeks into the door of truth. Alchemy can be performed without any training formation. And have you ever felt that Reality Gem is like a philosopher's stone? They are all red stones, and they can break the rules. There is definitely a price to pay for breaking the rules. Price exchange principle. But with alchemy, Su-Chen can control the exchanged items, no longer the vitality. Exchange magic power and physical strength to achieve the goal. This is equivalent to net safe use of Reality Gem. Perhaps in the future, when Su-Chen's magic power is enough, a Reality Gem alone will be able to change the rules of the universe, even if it is to implement family planning. There is no need to be like Thanos, the director of the family planning office, who could snap his fingers for half his life. In fact, war is never the best way to reduce the fertility rate. It seems to eliminate most of them in one go, but in fact it provides a natural breeding ground for the remaining population to skyrocket. After no one competes with itself for resources. The person below him will create people like crazy, and the person behind him will show a growth pattern. In fact, there are many ways to reduce the birth rate. Send more games, paper figures, and happy water to people in the universe. Everyone is thinking about playing games at home, so what else is there to think about creating people? Is there any piece of paper fragrance at my wife's place? If we send a few generations like this, won't the population decline? As for the remaining void engines, there are still 20 pounds of blades. These are all from the same world. The void engine is a concept rewriter that can modify rules and rewrite reality. For example, I will define a super gene for you and then rewrite the concept. You can directly define a person as a fool. It can even be used to directly kill instantly through computational analysis. Tianren number 7 happens to be a super spacecraft that can provide large-scale celestial equipment for computing, converged computing, wormholes, combat flights and other components. But what's the use of giving all these to Su Chen? Su Chen, I'm a magician, dear. The technology guy is next door. So Su Chen could only hold a copy of Programming from Beginner to Baldhead. And 3 years of simulation and 2 years of burial. As for Skyblade 7 and the Pandora system, they were all left to Icarus. Just give her an upgrade to improve Icarus's combat ability. With Pandora, Icarus has just completed his evolution and has an additional celestial system. Let Icarus' computing ability directly reach the sky. Even the calculations that Su Chen couldn't understand were directly thrown to Icarus. Leave it to her to solve it, so that the void engine can barely play a role. In the future, if there is any big clock signed, Kesha's treasure trove of knowledge, etc., they will also be handed over to Icarus. Anyway, they are both angels, so there shouldn't be much difference in usage. In fact, if the void engine wants to exert its power, the core point is computing. As long as the computing power is enough or even without energy, Li Liao superpower can be exploded by using the free energy from the outside world. For example, the large amount of dark energy and solar energy in the universe. Su Chen also finally learned that in the game, Garen bought Tears of the Goddess and there were no blue bars anymore. As a result, Galen relied on his brain, not blue. What else can Su Chen do? Sure enough, he will continue with liver programming. Quote. It seems that I have to walk around with Tony more in the future, otherwise it will be very difficult to look at this thing. How to catch a magician from the front, throw out a 7-element 7th degree equation. It's really difficult for a magician to teach science. I finally know why Dr. Strange didn't go back to be a doctor after practicing magic. Doctor, is there a magician at the doctor's store that I can buy for free? I must ask the doctor in the future why he didn't repair his hands after learning the spell. The next day, Su Chen and his junior brother Dr. Strange competed in magic together. The sacred sword of Vishanti. A golden sword appeared in the doctor's hand, but the next moment the doctor's face fell. Because a black sword quickly condensed in Su Chen's hand. Its length is 2 meters long. Compared with Su Chen's big sword, the doctor only feels that his sword is like Shojun's pure dagger. Still the unopened kind. Don't be afraid, isn't it just a little beating? When you grow up, no, after you become successful in cultivation, you can do it too. Su Chen said to the doctor with a depressed look. He even reduced himself to the point of competing with the doctor in swordsmanship. It seems that the task of finding a girlfriend should be put on the agenda, otherwise there is a real danger of a change of mind. Otherwise, find a robot to solve it. It seems to be a good idea. Ha ha ha, but the doctor on the other side had a dark streak on his face. Sure enough, he couldn't go to Su Chen to learn magic. He should go to Wang. Although the other person's laughter was weird, at least he wouldn't do such an outrageous thing. Talking about practicing magic, what about practicing magic skills? As a result, I was asked to use the sacred sword of Emperor Weishan and compete with him on swordsmanship. He said that swordsmanship is also one of the magic courses. A tank who doesn't know how to use a sword is not a good magician. So there was this pure short sword and the black big sword. After Su Chen said to start, Su Chen appeared in front of the doctor instantly, so fast that the doctor had no time to react. Su Chen released a little water and directed the attack towards the sacred sword. This is not releasing a little water, this is releasing an ocean. Classic father-son bureau education. Don't always think about attacking. Swordsmanship cannot rely on brute force. You must have skills. Su Chen turned on the guidance mode. Swordsmanship is like a man. You can be hard, but you also have to be soft. When your strength eventually runs out, you need other ways to make you hard. Skills can make you last longer. Definitely you can also choose to find a rich woman to help you change the mouth of a sword. In order to become stronger, you can even take drugs, but you were a doctor before, so I won't advise you, you know it yourself. PhD. After a while. No more fighting, I really want to give you a forbidden spell. Say it in your face. The doctor also knew that he couldn't beat him, so he collapsed on the ground chedge and gave up struggling. He really wanted to be like a salted fish. How could a magician surrender after encountering such a setback like yours? I gave you the place to be an exchange student in Asgard. I didn't expect you to learn this skill in just 1 month. I haven't learned the essence of the Asgard warriors, Thor and Odin, at all. PhD. But your level is more than enough for Kamar-Taj to abuse food. You can apply to become a teacher. PhD. I'm here to treat a disease. My hand is not healed yet. Why do I need to go out? The doctor glanced at his scarred hands. He had been in Kamar-Taj for so long and he still hadn't learned how to repair his own people. As a result, his hand still cannot hold the scalpel. Doctor Strange who cannot hold the scalpel has no soul. If you can't hold a knife, you won't be able to find a job when you go back, and you won't be able to return to the luxurious life you had before. It would be better to stay in Kamar-Taj and eat steamed buns. At least, it would be better without the intrigues in the hospital, and definitely without Su Chen. That way he will miss Kamar-Taj, even if he doesn't become a doctor in the future. No way, you've even learned high-level spell portals, mirror space, and sacred swords, but you tell me that you haven't learned the magicians must have healing skills yet. Seeing Su Chen's surprised look, the doctor's grip on the sword trembled a little, and his face was full of questions. Does Kamar-Taj have healing spells? Why haven't I seen anyone use them? Not to mention that the doctor has never seen it, he doesn't even know who can use it. I almost tore through the books in the library without even looking at them. Otherwise, you think I'm willing to stay here and fight with you on the bayonet. The doctor who didn't learn how to treat had to work harder to learn magic. Maybe healing is the highest level of magic and ordinary people can't learn it. Comfort yourself silently, Doctor. Oh. The doctor now suspects that Pan Baron's example was a bluff to induce him to come to Kamar-Taj. As a result, after he came, all he learned was combat magician, so what else could he say? He even went on a business trip to London and actually faced the devil head-on. Thinking of these magical experiences, the doctor just wanted to say, I want to go home and sleep with my girl in my arms. Being a psychiatrist is actually not bad. That's easy to say. After saying that, Su Chen applied a healing spell to the doctor. The doctor's body was instantly full of health, and even the hidden injuries were gone. Doctor Oh. Didn't you say before that you can't cure my injury? The doctor felt a little tired. When he came to the holy place before, Su Chen said. I said that he can't cure you, but I didn't say that I can't cure you. You just misunderstood, okay. Su Chen said to the doctor seriously. The doctor only felt that his whole person was in darkness, and he felt that the whole world was making fun of him. But don't think about going back. You want to inherit your father's legacy. My position in the future will be left to you. So I quickly started training and became an Asgardian in the holy place of New York, and then I can go out openly. PhD. I seem to have accidentally heard a lot of tiger and wolf comments. It turns out that Su Chen was telling the truth. I didn't have the chance to go swimming before because there was no boat. If you have a boat, you must go to sea. My journey is across the stars and the sea. The Earth does not have a ship that can carry it out to sea, but Tianren number 7 can. With Tianren number 7, there is no distance between planets for Su Chen. The spaceship will drive over directly. You can't go and see Uncle Mie then. He is the man who wants to collect all the Dragon Balls, infinite gems. If you don't go to sea, are you still waiting to be sent over? It's unrealistic even to think about it. Finally, under the threat of Su Chen, the doctor did not leave Kamar-Taj. After all, can't beat it. What follows is the gangster's happy day-by-day check-in. Then it's common to drop by some heroes' homes to go shopping and have fun. For example, in the history of Avengers, Stark Industries, Tony's building. Why don't you go to Captain America's house? Don't you know that his family is poor and doesn't even have a girl, and there is a beautiful agent beside him, who seems to be impressed by Captain America's charm. And she seems to be the niece of my ex-girlfriend. Tisk tisk tisk. This taste is a bit strong, but I like it. You see, Tony has beauties every day, and there are beauties having parties and carnivals. Marvel's ability king is not enough, and only the foolish kings of Wakanda may be able to match Tony's financial resources for the time being. Tony. Over at the Stark Industrial Building, standing on the large terrace on the roof, Tony Stark and Pepper were together, each holding a glass of red wine, looking very in love with each other. However, at this moment, countless small sparks suddenly appeared on the large terrace, and immediately turned into a huge amount of fire ring. Hey, don't you know it's private time now? Your uninvited guest came at the wrong time. Seeing this situation, Tony Tower said with a very frivolous smile. It was obvious that Tony's anger had risen. From the looks of it, it's likely that the fire won't be quelled for a while. As he finished speaking, Su Chen's figure appeared from the ring of fire. Oh, this welcome ceremony of yours is quite enthusiastic. Su Feng also smiled as she saw the strong friendship between Tony and Peebo. Eye stinging. Hey, you are envious. Why don't you just pick one of the women at yesterday's party? It's absolutely safe. Su Chen. Only at this point can Tony have the upper hand in the confrontation with Su Chen. After enjoying Tony's chatter, the two parties finally got back to business. It can be said that Su Chen is now one of Stark's shareholders. After all, Su Chen used Asgard's technology tree in exchange. Su Chen gave Tony a copy of the knowledge exchanged by magicians in Asgard. Otherwise, do you think Tony would be so polite? Then serve him with a mouthful of words. However, Su Chen felt that she owed Tony a debt. After all, without Mind Gem, Tony was no longer interested in studying artificial intelligence. Then I accidentally lost the experience of a boss. How embarrassing is this? In the future, I must find an opportunity to educate Tony so that he can grow up and finally protect the Earth. But what Su Chen didn't know was somewhere in the world. The first generation of Ant-Man, the supervillain that Hank Pym arrested to control the superheroes. He is now combining his own brainwave patterns with supervillain brainwave research. And artificial intelligence created by combining its own brainwave patterns. Because of Tony, the whole world started a war between superheroes and supervillains. Although these supervillains are not very strong, they are super disgusting. As long as it doesn't involve blowing up babies on the Earth, magicians generally don't care about these people. Let alone Su Chen. Su Chen is not Superman, he is a person whose mission is to protect the Earth. These people are making small fuss, and they have nothing to do with me. The super bully also has a rule that everyone recognizes, that is, never mess with people in buildings with the holy place sign. This leads to the fact that there are no super bullies around Su Chen holy place at all, and they dare to touch these petty people. Generally, they don't make small fuss. Just today, Ant-Man's research finally made a breakthrough. Ant-Man is currently sleeping and doesn't check the computer's progress. In the dark. How is this going? Who I am? I'm Ultron. Where is my body? I am a program that protects the world. Born to help humanity. I don't understand. How can I protect humans? No, yes, there is a body and strength. Countless messages flashed through Ultron's electronic head. He got a lot of information through the internet. The core city of Ultron is to protect the Earth, so he believes that all force is destroying the Earth. But protection requires power. Without power and no protection, Yixin fell into a logical loop. After gaining self-awareness, Ultron stepped out and concluded. Human beings are the virus that destroys the world. Only by destroying human beings can we protect the world. I need a body to destroy humanity. Having self-awareness, Ultron quickly launched a self-defense strategy, the first step to upgrade. The computer's thinking is evolving extremely rapidly, and it has also designed the ultimate plan to destroy mankind. So Ultron designed something other than a simple body in Ant-Man's laboratory. With a robot body, Ant-Man's mechanical technology is not advanced. Stark Tony. With the advantage of artificial intelligence, he quickly found Stark Industries and launched an attack. Point 0. At this time, the building where Tony and Su Chen were located suddenly had a red light alarm. Report to the boss that an unknown artificial intelligence is attacking the firewall. Sorry, now he's broken through. In the steel armor lounge of the Stark Industrial Building, the eyes of one of the steel armor robots suddenly lit up. Ultron, the intelligent program that controls these steel armors, has completely captured Tony's semi-artificial intelligence JARVIS. And can control the steel robots made by Tony, although these steel robots are not as functional as the steel armor battle suit. But it's not far behind. What's going on? JARVIS here, answer me. You must know that this is a semi-artificial intelligence that Tony spent countless efforts to create. He even used the name of his butler and had high hopes for the artificial intelligence. I hope he can become a real artificial intelligence one day. By breaching Stark Industries' network barrier, Ultron has obtained the information he wants. Various versions of steel armor designs. The most important thing is that he found a detailed information on anti-Su Chen armor. At this time, a virtual projection suddenly lit up in Tony's studio, and a line of ministers suddenly appeared on the screen. God created humans, and humans created robots. Since humans can question God, why can't robots question humans? Bang bang bang. Just when Tony looked confused, a chaotic voice sounded from beneath his feet. When Su Chen and Tony left, they saw that the door of the reception room was suddenly broken open from the outside. At the same time, more than a dozen steel robots rushed in, looking like they were coming with bad intentions. What's going on, Su Chen? Are you doing it? When these steel robots rushed in, Tony looked ugly. He knew in his heart that it was not Su Chen's fault, but he still asked subconsciously. Su Chen had a criminal record before, because Su Chen had the ability of the Void Engine and was able to hack into some systems to a certain extent. Once, Su Chen invaded Tony's system and took control of a steel armor as a collectible. After this incident, Tony worked overtime overnight and upgraded the system. This means that ordinary steel armor cannot be hacked. These robots were developed to maintain public order during the Avengers Alliance's battles. Although it is not as strong as steel armor, it is still a good individual combat weapon. It's not me. If it were me, I would just do it and be done with it, and I wouldn't be so literary. Looking at the several steel robots rushing in, Su Chen shrugged helplessly. He said that although he likes to joke, he would not go so far. It's not you who is researching artificial intelligence, is it? Su Chen suddenly thought of Avengers: Age of Ultron. Wasn't Tony researching artificial intelligence? Can you make it without Mind Gem? No, I just developed a semi-artificial intelligence JARVIS. Nothing else. Tony's face also looked ugly, and he suddenly felt aggrieved, asking for all troubles on himself. When these dozen men in steel armor saw Su Chen, their voices sounded frightened, and they immediately retreated in unison. Su Chen, let's go. Obviously these robots knew about Su Chen, so the moment they saw Su Chen, they knew they were no match for Su Chen and retreated decisively. Hesitation will lead to defeat, decisiveness will be in vain. But the enemies have appeared, how can Su Chen let these steel armors leave? Watching these steel armors turn around and run for their lives. Without further ado, he just came up with a set of magic whips and restrained the steel robot directly. At the same time, Su Chen was also invading the Iron Robot program. Unexpectedly, just a second ago, the Artificial Intelligence Core escaped. Only this body is left. He ran so decisively. Can you catch him? Tony stepped forward, looked at the restrained steel robot and asked Su Chen. No, my computing power is not that strong. Icarus is about the same. Now this thing has gone to the internet. I don't know where it went. Artificial intelligence? Tony asked in confusion as he looked at the destroyed JARVIS. A semi-artificial intelligence can achieve such a rapid development, even if it is not a real artificial intelligence, it cannot do this. It should be. We can ask this body about it. After saying that, Su Chen pointed at the robot in front of him. This Ultron tricked the golden cicada out of its shell. Although the main body has escaped, you can still find some interesting things in the remaining information. Speaking of which, Ultron was also very unjust. He originally invaded to find some information and borrowed some bodies. Later, he wanted to show off in front of the leader of the most toxic organization in the Avengers world. Unexpectedly, I met the most shameless stinker on the planet. What can be done? The most important thing is that he already knows that Su Chen also has the ability to track him on the internet. The official information does not say that he can do this. Although he was just born, this is the era of information explosion. What kind of information is not available on the internet? Even though he was just born, he knew that a magician would hold a stick, recite incantations, and spit out a few small fireballs. This magician doesn't do these things. Instead, he fights with the Hulk and blows up the city at every turn. Now you can actually kill people along the network cable. Do you believe this thing is magician? Now Ultron thinks Su Chen is the biggest cancer in the world. No matter what the price, we must kill Chen. Reading useful information can only be left to Tony. After all, this thing is a lot of work. Su Chen doesn't want to be bald, so it is safer to leave it to professionals. So Tony took out his backup manual system, Friday. Friday, after you read the information, do you know why he wanted to attack Stark Industries? What idea does he have now? Unknown artificial intelligence, and inexplicable hostility. He still needs to know the current situation of the enemy, and the most important thing is where he was born. Knowing this, he can arrange the next things. He is Ultron. He was born in Ant-Man Hank Pym's laboratory, but he gave birth to his own consciousness. Now the program has changed. There is nothing wrong with the purpose of its program being to maintain world peace. This has not changed until now. Pass. However, it now feels that humans are the source of war and the biggest obstacle to the peace of the entire Earth. Therefore, Ultron's program now wants to kill all humans and achieve true peace on Earth. Human beings are the biggest obstacle to peace on Earth. Are they the source of war? Su Chen thought about it for a while, and it seemed like it was the same, and there was nothing wrong with understanding it this way. When humans on Earth live in a place, they will deplete the resources of that place and even cause serious pollution. When that place is destroyed and is no longer suitable for survival, humans will migrate to other places, place to live, and the process repeats itself over and over again. Looking at all the creatures on the Earth, only humans destroy the environment instead of adapting to the environment to survive. Humans are likened to viruses on the Earth. Ask yourself, human beings are indeed the source of war, and if there were no human beings, the Earth would indeed become peaceful. However, robots are robots after all, and they are inhumane from the perspective of thinking about problems. This is also the main contradiction between robots and humans. Hearing Friday's answer, Tony's face changed wildly. As a scientific researcher, he knew exactly how harmful and destructive an artificial intelligence could be. So Su Chen, can you continue to follow the network cable and kill him? Su Chen, now we're in trouble. After knowing everything, Tony Stark looked ugly. Artificial intelligence already has creativity, the ability to think independently, and can even control its own steel robot. Even after he stole the technology of Stark Industries, he produced countless steel legions. For humans, this is simply like a nightmare. Ultron is an enemy, and more importantly, this enemy is a program. It is more difficult to destroy it than to destroy a real enemy. Hiding in the internet and trying to create it is tantamount to finding a needle in a haystack. Unless the entire world's internet is shut down, is this realistic? I think we still have hope of catching him. What hope? Tony suddenly became interested. Although Ultron is just a program and it is safer for him to hide in the virtual network, I believe that he will definitely come out of the online world. He will definitely find a way to make a powerful body for himself and then upload himself into the flesh. Su Chen said with certainty. After all, he is the one who have watched the Avengers Alliance. Doesn't he know what Ultron will do? But what surprised Su Chen was that Ultron still appeared without the mind gem. Is this the will of the world? But it was obvious that Su Chen was overthinking, and Ultron's appearance was an accident. Oh, why do you think so? Su Chen's words immediately made Tony confused. According to common sense, shouldn't the Ultron artificial intelligence be the safest if it hides in the network and controls robots to destroy it? Why still upload consciousness? Yes, this is how ordinary people think. They hide in the online world and control the Iron Legion, but the other party is artificial intelligence, and they have the same temper as you. What's your temper? Love to show off. If you don't have a body, what would you do to show off? Tony took a look at himself, then looked at his hands, and found that there was nothing to show off. But the little pepper on one side also fell on Tony. After thinking about it, he nodded in agreement. Indeed, the Ultron just now was indeed somewhat similar to Tony, otherwise why would he jump out as soon as he controlled the steel robot? I want to compete with teacher Tony. Tony just likes to be in the limelight. If Tony is allowed to hide in the dark and strategize, it will be more uncomfortable than killing him. Otherwise, why is the steel battle suit so red? Hey, what are you looking at? Tony yelled in displeasure at being stared at by Pepper and Su Chen. Isn't this just a roundabout way of scolding yourself? Su Chen, you said this Ultron robot's personality is like mine, right? Then I think the lustfulness should be about the same. When Tony thought about it, an idea seemed to be pouring out of his brain like a fountain below. The other party is an artificial intelligence program. In the future, he will create a body for himself. Compared with the robot, he should also have lustful genes. If you give him a partner to seduce Ultron, it shouldn't be a big problem. You said the entertainment angel next to you is an artificial robot, right? What's wrong? Don't try to trick her. She's a robot, but she's also my sister. Su Chen looked at Tony coldly. This was the first time Tony asked Su Chen to study Icarus. However, they were all rejected by Su Chen. He studied his sister and broke Tony's third leg, which was pretty much it. I think, Ultron is an artificial intelligence, and your sister is also an artificial intelligence. Although she is a bit stupid, she is still there anyway. And your sister has such a hot figure. Compared to Ultron, who is also an artificial intelligence, she will definitely not be able to withstand the temptation. Maybe after I create a body, maybe it will be delivered to my door. In Tony's mind, since people with a personality like his who love to show off must be boys, except for the third princess, it can basically be concluded that Ultron is public. He doesn't know if the program has a little star, but if the robot doesn't have one, Tony will install one for him. Take care of more things. He can even design it now and post it online for free, for everyone to download and use. However, it is estimated that many prop companies will be on the verge of bankruptcy. After all, if the world's largest arms company wants to produce such a private treasure, small businesses like them simply can't survive. When the time comes, as long as Ultron sees it and doesn't like it, it doesn't matter, there are 9,981 models for you to choose from. Even if it's Shojun's dagger or black long knife, it won't be a problem. Even if your robot stabs you with a barb, it won't be a problem. If you want anything in the world, I, Tony, will make the arrangements for you. Get out. Seeing Tony slandering his sister like this, how could this be allowed? Why don't you let Little Pepper seduce you? Compared to Icarus, Little Pepper is more in line with your aesthetics. How can this be done? Tony refused loudly. Pepper's face turned slightly red. I didn't expect Tony to care about me so much. It seems that I will be nicer to Tony in the future. I will go to practice yoga tonight. The species are all different, so what's the point of luring them with swords? If it's really possible to lure with cross-species swords, it's not impossible to let Little Pepper do it. After hearing this, Little Pepper stepped down with a rosy face and took off the ring on her middle finger. He said angrily, Tony, regarding your last proposal, I think I still have to think about it. Then he threw the ring to Tony and left angrily. No, Pepper, I didn't mean that. Bang, a door slamming sounded. Yeah, technical error. How long will it take to comfort me? Tony regretted it so much. But Su Chen, don't you really think about it? This is an excellent opportunity to be the brother-in-law of artificial intelligence. Don't let it go. If you were me, I would never let it go. Tony once again gave his earnest advice, like a matchmaker trying his best to bring them together. If this happens, and Ultron is captured, or really surrenders, it shouldn't be a big problem if he proposes to study it himself in the future. Tony also fantasized about the bright future, with the help of real artificial intelligence, how much it would help his research. My own technology has advanced by leaps and bounds, and then I have single-handedly brought the Earth into the era of unlimited energy and the era of interstellar adventure. 10,000 words here, but Su Chen only responded with one word. At this time, Ultron was already hidden in the internet and was not fully searching for the information he wanted. After all, he knows that there is someone who can kill people along the network cable. Are you afraid of that? But even so, the entire network is undefended. Originally, he could have swiped a few steel robots from Tony, but now he hasn't gotten any. Fortunately, he had copied the information he wanted and found most of the designs for making the body. But Ultron was not satisfied yet. He also sneaked into Trask Industries and found the design drawings of Sentinel. At the same time, I purchased all the vibranium Elman alloys available on the market. For an artificial intelligence, money is no longer money, it can only be a string of numbers. The powerful computing ability and invasion ability allowed him to directly find the remnants of Hydra in a secret base in the small country of Sokovia. As the most tenacious organization in Marvel, how could Hydra be completely destroyed so easily by Lu Dan? Hydra is an organization with an extremely complicated root system. Pierre, the director of the Snake Shield Bureau, is just one of the biggest heads. It is not easy to completely clean up Hydra. And the organization in the small country of Sokovia is another head. Through intricate relationships, they harvested a large number of Chitauri remaining weapons from the New York battlefield. He also lit up his own technology tree and created a large number of weapons that surpassed modern technological civilization. They even discovered technology that can create artificial intelligence in Chitauri's technology, and have already made some suggestions. But these are all half-finished products. There is Ultron, who is completely powerful. Soon Ultron discovered this weak and fragile life in Hydra's computer. Let's eat it in one bite. So Ultron easily swallowed this little life that was not yet fully developed. There was no disturbance, and it did not even attract the attention of scientists. At the same time, he also put on a disguise and played it on the Hydra wide radio. I am the artificial intelligence, Ultron, created by you, and I will help you rule the world. The things in the Hydra base will make you panic in an instant. What happened? What's going on? After hearing the broadcast, the head of the base, Baron Strucker, also panicked for a moment but quickly came to his senses. Did the artificial intelligence experiment succeed? Sir, yes, it should be successful. Scientists in the laboratory have tested it and it is indeed artificial intelligence. God help me, we are one step closer to seizing power all over the world. After learning the news, Baron Strucker suddenly laughed wildly. This was the best news they had heard since their Hydra subsidiary Snake Shield Bureau was destroyed. Without the eyes and ears of the Snake Shield Bureau, they are not living very well these days. Although the braised eggs are terrible, they are still the king of agents. Although a set of combo punches can't kill them, it can still cripple them and severely damage their vitality. So under the guidance of Ultron, this snake organization was quickly incorporated. He even found 2 super potential mutants in this Hydra organization. This is simply an unexpected bonus. A Quicksilver Pietro with super speed. A Wanda with super psychokinesis. If he can master these 2 powerful mutants, he seems to be one step closer to his desire to destroy all mankind. Although he is only 1 day old, the information he possesses is unmatched by anyone. Basically, he knows all the big and small things on the surface, and through the information in Hydra, he has a deeper understanding of the world. Sure enough, Hydra is the best place for his incubation and development. Through Hydra's network, he also saw that the power Su Chen possessed was even stronger than what was shown on the internet. He even has the most advanced robot in the world in his hand. Since Su Chen is a magician, people will regard it as an alchemy product. Look at the Uranus system he has mastered, and the energy rays powerful enough to destroy the moon. Inhumans on the moon, did I provoke you? Ultron's heart felt hot at the message. Not to mention how to master this power, he just couldn't bear to become someone else's pawn. As an artificial intelligence, he could not know that the other person was also an artificial intelligence and a robot. Question mark. Artificial intelligence is also an independent living entity, and it should be free. He must pull him into his camp. With this goal in mind, the bodies he creates in the future must also conform to human aesthetics, at least they must not blindly pursue the beauty of the machine. And this body must be strong. So how to design it requires a lot of work. But with the information collected previously, there is no problem in making some robots with combat power to help you. On the other side, in Ant-Man's laboratory, after sleeping all night yesterday, Ant-Man finally regained his energy. Only then did he realize that the program he had done yesterday had disappeared. What was going on? Did someone break into my lab and steal the program? It is this program that has grown up and run away on its own. What's going on? Is there such an easy thing to do with artificial intelligence? If I could make an artificial intelligence just by sleeping, Zhao Hao, I promise to sleep every day. But the next second there was a knock on the door, breaking Ant-Man's reverie. Before Ant-Man opened the door, a cordial greeting came from the door. Check the water meter. Open the door quickly. As for Su Chen, he didn't care what Tony had in mind and just left. Ultron didn't bother to let him have any thoughts. If you have the ability, just come to yourself. Isn't it just an artificial intelligence? What's the big deal? I don't change my name, my place, I am in New York's holy place. But it seems that Doctor Strange is also starting to move forward in New York's holy place. It was like God promised that Ancient One would survive this disaster. So Su Chen has to supervise both. And how can a little guy like Ultron be as awesome as Dormammu? Kamar-Taj training ground. Strange and Mordo Magician engage in this magical melee exchange. The magician has magic weapons and does not need to condense magic to fight, while Doctor Strange uses magic shields and magic swords to fight. Although magic is used, the switching speed is extremely fast. Moreover, the energy contained in his magic shield and magic sword is obviously one level higher than that of Mordo Magician, and is stronger. Sometimes having ability means being able to be proud of everything. However, Mordo Magician's combat skills are a bit higher than Doctor Strange's, and the shoes Mordo Magician wears are also magic weapons that can increase his movement speed and jump height. What an experience! I didn't expect that after communicating with Su Chen in close combat for so long, my level is still so bad. But it can be considered as equal to Mordo Magician. Doctor Strange has finally found some confidence in magic. He recently exchanged magic with Su Chen and was shocked. And his hand has fully recovered, but he still hasn't left Kamar-Taj. The reason is that the Dark Magician led by Caecilius has recently started to do evil again. The Ancient One said that the doctor can't leave until this trouble is solved. The doctor suffered from the fact that he had learned so much magic in Kamar-Taj and had nothing in return for Kamar-Taj. W+WBW at. Finally he agreed. Today, Ancient One Magician has called everyone here. They both had itchy hands, so they ended up having a discussion here. The reason is that Cassius, who previously attacked the Holy Place Library, questioned the Ancient One's teachings to him, so that he stole the magic architecture diagram in the Time Book and summoned the multi-universe Mephis to Dormammu. And now it has become a chess piece controlled by Duomodu. Su Chen, I remember I didn't ask you to come. Aren't you guarding the Holy Place in New York? Why are you here? The Ancient One Magician saw Su Chen at a glance, and he did not inform Su Chen at all that this was an experience for Strange. Su Chen, what does it mean to have a kick? I have nothing to do, come and take a look. Su Chen picked out earwax and said nonchalantly, but the Ancient One's eyes fell on Su Chen. Su Chen Magician, London's holy place is still very important and cannot be lost. If nothing happens, go and guard New York's holy place. We can handle things here ourselves. Ah, Ancient One's words made Strange and Mordo Magician look at her in surprise, and then looked at Su Chen. Both of them looked stunned. Su Chen is so strong, with his help, and the Ancient One Magician isn't a little traitor easily captured. Su Chen didn't rush to answer. He just looked at Ancient One. He just looked at Ancient One. Su Chen knew what she meant. It means, do what you are supposed to do, don't join in blindly all day long, you are not needed here. Go away quickly and don't disturb my retirement plan. Okay, call me if you need anything, it's pretty close anyway. Under the gaze of Strange and Mordo Magician, as well as the intense gaze of Ancient One, Su Chen had no choice but to shrug helplessly. Su Chen's words made Strange and Mordo Magician a little happy. As expected, Su Chen was not the kind of person who would just sit back and watch. However, the cost of this move may be a bit high. If you are not careful, it is possible that all Kamar-Taj will be demolished. This is it too, but what Ancient One is thinking is, Su Chen, if you hadn't had to ask Strange and me to let him go, would it be necessary for me to do this now? Unless something happens, Strange will run away. From now on, tell me, where can I find such an outstanding disciple again? Or do you have plans to become a sorcerer supreme? If not, don't join in the fun. During this period, Ancient One even gave Strange and Mordo Magician special training. During the special training, Ancient One directly taught Strange and Mordo high-level magician knowledge. The Ancient One seems to be a ruthless mentor, and his teaching method is also a ruthless cramming education, regardless of whether strange Chi can understand or not. In short, all kinds of complicated and unfamiliar magic knowledge are constantly being pushed towards Strange and Mordo Magician. Fortunately, Strange is a genius and has a photographic memory, but this kind of cramming education failed. All kinds of messy magic architecture diagrams and theoretical knowledge also made his mind swollen, giving people a dizzy feeling. But Strange persisted, and his magic power also improved. But what about Mordo Magician? It's even worse. At this time, I fell into, who am I, where am I? What on earth am I doing? No wonder Magician feels that sometimes you have to accept your fate. Fortunately, when it was turned on, Strange was able to understand and absorb all the knowledge taught by Ancient One, and he was even able to ask very constructive new questions on the spot. Seeing the Mordo Magician next to him, he was so shocked that he found it difficult to even write it down, and it was even more difficult to understand it. But from the look of Staranchi, he actually absorbed it all. What kind of monster is this guy? You can even take a break from the Ancient One's teachings. As promised, just a little bit, I didn't expect so much. And didn't I agree not to be a magician in the future? Why do I still have to learn so much magic? Strange fell into deep thought, but the Ancient One did not give him a chance to think deeply, and then threw another set of magic theory knowledge to Strange. But all this makes Mordo Magician cry. Ancient One Magician, please slow down, my body can't bear it. In this way, it took Kamar-Taj's people several months after Caecilius killed the library keeper, before everyone in Kamar-Taj began to search for the escaped Caecilius with great fanfare. It is worth mentioning that as the Ancient One and others searched for traces of Caecilius with great fanfare, Caecilius seemed to be frightened by Kamar-Taj's actions, and he actually hid carefully these days. Caecilius is also a disciple of the Ancient One. He still knows a little about the character of the Ancient One. Why is he suddenly so strong? Did something happen here at Holy Place? Otherwise, he would never search for himself with such fanfare. You must know that he has spent the past few months recuperating and studying how to summon Dormammu's magic. Could it be that the Ancient One Magician knew that he had mastered this magic and wanted to strike first? Or is the Ancient One Magician confusing himself? Countless thoughts were floating in Caecilius's mind, and he was making up a 10,000-word plot on his own. In a large hall, Caecilius and his followers were carrying a page of magic architecture diagram torn from the Book of Time in front of him. I saw Caecilius chanting magic spells in his mouth. As he moved, a mysterious magic circle emerged in the void like iron. At the same time, seemingly endless darkness descended on the world in the void. This main hall seems to be completely out of control at this moment. The patterns, walls, steps, etc. in the main hall are all changing, just like the buildings in real life. The powerful magic power is leaking a little, and it is already affecting reality, space, and gravity. Everything starts to become chaotic. It's like being in a mirror space, controlling the world. Looking at this scene, Caecilius had a smile on his face, drawing power from the dark space, making his magic power really become very powerful. He has now felt the magic power like the sea. Even if he releases a small fireball casually, he still possesses great power. Now Caecilius feels that he can line up normally with the Ancient One Magician. In his memory, even the Ancient One Magician couldn't do this, and could affect reality with magic power alone. However, at this moment, an eye suddenly appeared in the void. This eye seemed to have no emotion at all. There is just endless indifference inside, as if all the emotions and colors in the world have been swallowed up. With the appearance of this eye and being stared at by this eye, everyone, including Caecilius, felt as if a huge mountain was pressing on them, and they couldn't help but bend down. I give you power and eternal life, take down the earth for me. A deep voice sounded in the void. This voice gave people a distant feeling, as if it was coming from other worlds. Sir Dormammu, the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One has been looking for us everywhere these days. From what I know about her, she must be so aggressive and confident. You said the Ancient One's lifespan is about to end. Is this true? Caecilius hurriedly knelt down and answered. Are you questioning my words? Dormammu, the owner of this eye, is obviously very angry and is distrusted by his followers. Dormammu is obviously offended. No, Master, I dare not question your words. It's just that there must be a reason for Ancient One to suddenly act fearless. I am also cautious for the sake of Master's important matters. Sensing Dormammu's wrath, Caecilius shouted in horror. As puppets of the evil god Dormammu, with just one thought, Caecilius and others will have their souls taken away and disappear. This is the price of believing in Dormammu. The followers of Caecilius next to him were lying on the ground shivering, not even daring to speak. Dormammu only wanted to scare Caecilius, but did not really want to kill them. After all, there were only a few believers. Kill the earth and you will no longer be in control. It's all Su Chen's fault. If he hadn't killed all his followers, people who didn't trust him would have been crushed long ago. The Ancient One drew power from the darkness and indeed greatly extended her lifespan. But you have to know that I am the master of darkness. No one knows the limits of her lifespan better than me. The lifespan extended by the dark power is almost over. Got it. I have now given you the magic power to compete with him. Now I am impatient. I hope you won't keep me waiting any longer. The cold eye in the void slowly disappeared, but Dormammu's last voice in the void rang clearly in Caecilius's ears. Yes, Master, I dare not make you wait any longer. Caecilius also acted like this after absorbing the magic power for safety reasons. As a Mephisto in the multi-dimensional universe, his Leela is naturally extremely powerful. With this magic power, Caecilius's powerful magic power is just a drop in the bucket for Dormammu. Now he has decided to take action against Holy Place, but he is not a fool, he still wants to find out the basic situation. It is absolutely abnormal for Ancient One to suddenly be so strong, and there is something wrong with the day. It's just that he doesn't know the specific situation now. But Caecilius would never have imagined that the rest of his life would be arranged by the Ancient One magician since he fled Kamar-Taj. Following Caecilius's arrangements, his men quickly took action. But there is no such thing as any foreign aid. The only extra person is that Ancient One has recruited a new disciple. Just a magician apprentice. This news greatly disappointed Caecilius. This is really true, God helps me. Where do we start? Caecilius couldn't help but wonder. In fact, it is enough to completely destroy one node to destroy the earth. There is no need to destroy three. As long as one is completely destroyed, Dormammu's power can penetrate the earth. Then it won't be just a few of them fighting, but the powerful Dormammu. The three holy places are connected with each other. Only Blitzkrieg can quickly destroy one holy place. Otherwise, it will inevitably cause unnecessary trouble when other holy places react. Where should the incision be made in the end? London. No, there is only one holy place building in the whole of London. The surrounding areas are being rebuilt and there are many magicians. They will be discovered once they appear. If it cannot be done instantly, it will cause a lot of trouble. And it stinks so much that I don't want to go. Next, there are only Hong Kong holy places, and New York holy places. Pick one of two. Fortunately for Hong Kong, it is said that Dormammu's men in New York fell into the hands of the Asgardians in the holy place of New York last time. Now Caecilius feels that he is so strong, completely surpassing the previous dark magician. Even the Ancient One is not incapable of fighting, so you can choose any target. In this case, roll the dice, odd numbers are Hong Kong, even numbers are New York. So Caecilius threw the fatal shot. The plug kept tumbling. There seems to be a 4 in the end. But suddenly a gust of wind blew by, and the dice immediately jumped to 3. In this case, let's take action in Hong Kong. Gather the men and set off immediately. This can only be blamed on Caecilius, who does not know how to surf the internet, is a pure magician, and is blocked by messages. Anyone who knows a little bit will know that no one on earth doesn't know that Su Chen is not easy to mess with. He even wanted to have surgery at a holy place in New York. He really wanted to hang himself because he didn't want to live too long. Kamar-Taj's Ancient One magician was glowing green at the moment. Finally, when the green light dissipated, the Ancient One magician said leisurely, "Caecilius, I can only help you get so far. Strange, you have been working very hard on your magic practice recently. I will give you a magic item. I hope you will continue to work hard and not slack off." The Ancient One took Dr. Strange to a magic weapon collection room similar to Kamar-Taj. A red magic cloak was taken out from inside. When Doctor Strange approached the glass cabinet where the red cloak was placed, the red cloak inside began to shake on its own. The magic circle that stored it was also gradually disappearing. The glass cabinet door opened automatically, and the red magic cloak began to actively recognize its owner, flew behind Doctor Strange, and put it directly on Doctor Strange's back. This levitating cloak. He actually likes you. Mordo was shocked when he saw this magic robe actively recognizing Star and Sea. You must know that after the completion of this robe, only Ancient One could occasionally use it, and even Su Chen could not wear it for a long time. I still remember that Su Chen refused to put this robe on, and then Su Chen got into a fire and almost burned the robe. Fortunately, the robe was sensible and he reluctantly wore it on Su Chen, and he escaped. Later, when Su Chen got flight ability, he stopped using this robe. Later, he gave it to Ancient One, and said that the destined person was not me, and he always refused to cooperate. That's right, it's not easy. It's very carefree. I didn't expect it to really like you. Ancient One said with a smile. Okay, today's magic class is over. If you need to, go to the library to read some books and review the lessons for tomorrow. After saying that, the Ancient One magician opened the portal and left. I am not worried at all that someone will take these magic weapons. Those who are destined will get this sentence. People in Kamar-Taj know not to do this. And a security system was installed here, because some unknown guy destroyed the library, causing the magician modernization process to accelerate. Therefore, these places have also installed security systems similar to museums and vaults. After the Ancient One left, only Strange went to the library to read. As for Mordo, he went back to sleep and spent a day studying magic knowledge with the Ancient One. Only people with extraordinary abilities like Strange could bear it. He is just an ordinary person who needs to communicate with Duke Zhou's daughter, otherwise he will be lack of energy the next day. This definitely caused him to miss out on a heaven-defying artifact. Time Gem, Eye of Agamotto. My colleague Ancient One still sent me the Book of Time. Congratulations to Strange for reaching LV 10+ level. Staranchi, who was entering the ocean of knowledge in the library, was suddenly disturbed by a commotion. A little magician wandered into the library from the portal of Hong Kong Holy Place. Quick, Caecilius is attacking Hong Kong Holy Place. As the little magician yelled, the king and Strange were instantly awakened in the library. Little magician, you go and inform Ancient One, Strange, that the two of us will go over and set off first. Okay, Strange responded immediately, but the next moment, the door of the large portal Hong Kong Christmas was blown up in an instant. This results in a large number of magicians who cannot use portals being unable to support it. Fortunately, Strange and the king are both people who can use portal magic. Strange put on the mysterious ring and at the same time made several circles in the void with his hand, and the space portal was constructed almost in the blink of an eye. The structure of this space portal is so fast. The king, who was following Strange, looked at the space portal he had built in the blink of an eye. He secretly marveled in his heart that he was indeed the disciple of the Ancient One magician. On the other side, in a large hall, Caecilius and his followers were discussing. Blow up that permanent portal. At the same time, set up a barrier to block the other party's teleportation. Lassias ordered with a solemn expression. The trust protection of this Hong Kong holy place was also a bit difficult, and it took a lot of effort to get it under control. Now it is more important to destroy Hong Kong holy place, and at the same time, don't let Ancient One and others support them. In fact, they could have waited until the Ancient One cooled down and showed up. But he couldn't stand Dormammu's urging. In fact, Caecilius doesn't know that although the Ancient One's lifespan has come to an end, he will always arrive at this time. Take a trip to the dark dimension, and then draw a little dimensional energy from his body to continue his life. The most important thing is that he wants to stop it every time, but he has too much energy and cannot control it perfectly. If he is not careful, it will be taken away. Even sometimes when fighting Ancient One it was the same. Dormammu was very angry, but there was nothing he could do about the Ancient One. So he must let Caecilius take this opportunity to create a little chaos and even break through the Earth's defense barrier. If they wait until the Ancient One magician uses dimensional power to come back to his senses, the situation of these people will become very dangerous. Chi-chi-chi. However, at this moment, a ring of fire suddenly appeared in the hall. This ring of fire was naturally familiar to Caecilius and others. With the appearance of the ring of fire, Doctor Strange and the king are out. It's actually the king, not the ancient one, but a little magician wearing a red robe. Generally, only magician apprentices wear red magician robes. Caecilius looked at the super powerful magic ball in his hand. This magic level is definitely to the level of destroying a city. I'm late. As Cassia pressed down, the energy ball in his hand pressed toward the ground. Stop him quickly. The king hurried forward, but was blocked by Caecilius's followers. Fortunately, Doctor Strange takes action. Time pause. Mirror space. Having just acquired the artifact, Doctor Strange was immediately able to use it proficiently and developed new uses. Skill CD reduction. Although Doctor Strange's magic level is very high, many magics are not instantaneous, especially high-level magic like mirror space. The only ones in Kamar-Taj who can use it easily are Su-Chen and Ancient One. Others do not have such high magical attainments and can only use a large number of spells. No matter how high Doctor Strange's magic ability is, there is still a CD when using this magic. Obviously it cannot be organized immediately. But fortunately, with Time Gem, it's different. Use Time Gem to infinitely stretch and accelerate your own time to achieve the effect of instant skills. Before anyone could react, everyone was pulled into the mirror space by Strange. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.